Yeah, you know what I'm saying? KCE, King Chaka. It is what it is, baby. You really not feeling me? Let me find out. Yo, question my ability. Let me find out. Invest in my enemy. Let me find out. There ain't no telling what you finna see. You finna find out. It's something that enters me. You finna find out. Then exit with energy. You finna find out. Riding flows like centipede. You finna find out. Screw those that's kidding me. Let me find out. Get the big lips. I'ma call you Bill Bellamy. When you talk your shit, man, really it's killing me. Hit you with my fist and I'ma do it lyrically. Crazy ass brick, so I might do it literally. I'ma do this till I'm old eating celery. How old is Jay-Z? He gotta be 70. Come to my show or I'ma do it bitterly. Or hit the porn store with a bitch named Beverly. Keep waiting tables, yeah. Spicy means peppery. Or get tattoos and work in the factory. Whatever I do, I'ma do it happily. I'm tired of these rappers too, they do it knackily. That's why I'm here, I'm the shit this year. We gon' keep it moving, grooving, give you something you can feel. When shit's fucked up, gon' drop a tear. I'ma pull my pants up, grab another beer. Rap's messed up and I don't have no fear. Attack the chest up, it's a grown man in here. Ask you little chaps, what have you done in the field? Throw your sets up, let them know you're still here. I said you really not feeling me, let me find out. Yo, question my ability, let me find out. Yo, invest in my enemy, let me find out. Ain't no telling what you finna see, you finna find out. Yo, you really not feeling me, let me find out. Yo, question my ability, let me find out. Yo, invest in my enemy, let me find out. Ain't no telling what you finna see, you finna find out. Yeah, bounce, rock, shake, wiggle. We gon' come through and put it in the middle. They calls me fiddler cause I play the fiddle. Checking masters, white pipes, I's a good nigga. Bounce, rock, shake, wiggle. We gon' come through and put it in the middle. They calls me fiddler cause I play the fiddle. Checking masters, white pipes, I's a good nigga. I said you really not feeling me, let me find out. Yo, question my ability, let me find out. Yo, invest in my enemy, yo, let me find out.
How y'all doing? Hey, what's good? What is this? Wednesday? I don't even know what today. 8/18/2021. What's up? How y'all doing? Oh, we got our guest. You ready? Anyways, like I was saying, thank you guys for being here with us. Like I say, we want you to be an activist. So this whole thing is about education, motivation, creation. So we want you guys to go out there and be creators and be leaders in your community and make things happen. That's what this is all about. So I gotta say, man, my last one I did was my most organized one and most thought-filled one. So I tell everybody to go check it out. It's dry and hard to watch, but I think we covered the Afghanistan thing really, really well in that one. So if you don't understand Afghanistan stuff, that video will help you out a lot, I think. And it's the second half of the video that we explain Afghanistan really well. So I'm gonna try to move on from Afghanistan because I might talk about it a bit today, but I might talk about it a bit today. But where'd you go? Pat, you was there. You went away. I might talk about it more today a little bit, but I'm going to start moving on from that. The thing is, everybody's covering it, and I want to be different, like there's a show called Redacted Tonight, and it's on the RT network, and they try to cover the news that's not being covered. And that's kind of like what I want to do. I'm using the news to give you guys an idea, or help you understand what's going on in the world. So we're going to dissect the news, but I'm not going to just be covering whatever everybody else is covering at the same time that they're covering it just because they're covering it and that's what everybody's talking about. That's not what we're doing here at this channel at all. Pat, if that's you, Pat, okay, yeah, I'm going to click you in. You clicked in a minute ago. There you go. Hey, what's up? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Pat? Hey, I can't hear you. I hear noise, but you're not talking. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm gonna take it off and put it back on. Hold on. Say something. Can you hear me? I'm talking. Can you hear me? What? I don't know. Technical difficulties, y'all. Hold on. Well, I figured that out. Um, is this video loaded yet? Oh shit! And I never be last minute loading shit, y'all. But I was dragging ass today, and I wasn't organized, so I ain't gonna lie. But I had to last minute load some shit. I would have started this stream earlier, and I didn't. So that's what it is. What it is, yo. But I still got some stuff here for y'all. I'm gonna play this just to start off. Y'all ever saw that movie Falling Down from the 90s? You probably haven't never seen it. I'm gonna play this, and hopefully when I get back, we'll have Pat. Let's go.
Bill Foster is an ordinary man.
Where are you going?
Going home.
Not this way, you're not.
Why not?
Metro Rail construction, that's why not.
Living in the everyday world.
I don't suppose you have a couple of bucks you can give me. It would really help me out. If you give me your address, I'll mail it back, honest.
A patient man.
Can I help you?
Yes, I'd like a ham and cheese omelet and a little wham fries.
I'm sorry.
We stopped serving breakfast at 11:30.
Who's running out of patience.
I get some change for the phone.
A peaceful man.
No change. Have to buy something.
Who's about to be pushed.
85 cents. 85 cents.
Doesn't give me enough money for the phone call.
Drink. 85 cents. You pay or go.
A little too far.
I stay.
You mean you stole your baseball bat, but he paid for the soda?
Just standing up for my rights. As a consumer.
Oh, this guy's discriminating.
What kind of vigilante are you? I am just trying to get home to my little girl's birthday.
Give us your briefcase.
If everybody will stay out of my way.
Here. You want a briefcase? Here's my briefcase. There's the briefcase. Huh? Wait a minute. Wait.
Then nobody will get hurt.
Warner Brothers presents
Say, would you get off my golf course? I am.
the story of an everyday guy who refused
5. Baby, whoa.
to take it one more day.
So we got a nutcase with a bag full of guns. He's in Hollywood right now, and he's heading west.
I don't know if you've noticed or not, but there's other people waiting to use the phone here.
Now, if you go up against this guy, be careful.
I think it's out of order.
Somebody in a white shirt and tie gunned down a phone booth 3 blocks from the Whammy Burger.
Michael Douglas.
In America, we have the freedom of speech. Come on, if I want to be a parking lot, I'll buy a ticket. The right to disagree.
Robert Duvall.
I know who this guy is.
In a Joel Schumacher film.
What are you doing to the street? We're fixing it. What the hell does it look like? See, I don't think anything's wrong with the street. I think you're just trying to justify your inflated budgets. Well, I guess so. I'll give you something to fix. What are you... Hey, Charlie!
Falling down.
Let's call it a day.
Come on. I'm the bad guy?
A tale of urban reality.
A tale of urban reality. Hey, you remember that movie?
Hell yeah.
Man, that's one of those movies that stayed in my mind. You know, I don't know how old I was when I saw it, but it definitely had a great impact on me. Like, and it's been on my mind for some reason. It popped in my mind today. So that's the reason why I played it, you know, because like the things that the guy was going through in that movie, and he was like, I'm just trying to make it home to my kid. And it's just like it was just like the way the system is just so fucked up against the individual, against, you know, it's so, you know, it's like we don't have no chance. And then when we come at them with complete logic, they come back with these robotic as responses that, you know, that shit crazy, bro.
What happened
Where you
to
go?
my picture?
I don't know what happened, bro. You turned black. It looked like the phone fell.
It did, but I picked it back up. Hold on.
Yeah, man, that movie, man, fucking, like, I don't know, bro. It touched me. It touched me in some weird ass ways, and it also made my mind think in some weird ass ways. And to this day, I'm like trying to be an activist and all of this stuff and trying to make a change. And I feel like that's what he was trying to do in that movie. He died at the end, and that's crazy at the end because he was like, "I'm the bad guy." He was really surprised, And if you watch that movie, I mean, like, he did do some horrible things. He was the bad guy, but I'm just saying. He was just reacting like how any of us would react, really, in a lot of situations if we felt free enough, because he was just done. He was at the end. He was on the edge of everything. So he was, ready to give up. So that's why he didn't give a fuck no more, And that's why I say, the most dangerous person is that person. And I think that our society, it makes us, they want us to have families, because that guy that doesn't have a family, he's super dangerous, So if you have a family, then that gives them the opportunity to kind of like manipulate you in a lot of ways. But if you don't have a family, it's hard for them to get to you, especially if you have some money some kind of way. If you were able to make money without being involved in the system, you're able to make money outside of the system. You're a rogue glitch in the system that's super, super, super dangerous.
Yeah.
You there?
I'm here. I'm just not sure why my camera's not showing.
That's weird. If you want to click out and click back in, maybe that'll help. Like exit and then exit again. And come all the way back in. Let's see if that works, y'all. I got some videos. Let's play something short.
A mother and father are facing charges accused of leaving their baby in a locked car in the parking lot of a shopping center in Nassau County. Police say the one-year-old boy's parents left him there for about an hour while they went shopping. And the baby is okay, thanks to Good Samaritans who called for help. Eyewitness News reporter Stacey Sager has the story.
Police say the baby's parents left their one-year-old boy in this Mercedes Tuesday afternoon while they went and shopped here at the Americana in Manhasset for a total of 59 boiling minutes.
The vehicle was locked and not running. One window was left open about an inch.
That is until two bystanders spotted the baby and frantically tried to break in. Police did too, but they say Mercedes vehicles are resistant to these traditional methods. So a quick-thinking officer then used the punch on his department-issued knife, cutting his hand but saving the baby.
A one-year-old child, no water, no fluids, no air conditioning, locked in that car.
The baby's parents, 34-year-old Jingkai Zhu and 28-year-old Lu Lu of Flushing, told police they had set their phones to check on their baby every 25 minutes.
You leave a one-year-old child alone for 30 seconds, the world changes. They left him every 25 minutes. They thought it was okay to come back and check every 25 minutes.
The couple in court here in Hempstead today, now charged with reckless endangerment and endangering the welfare of their child, who, according to the criminal complaint, was breathing heavily, sweating profusely, and at grave risk of death.
They were in the Americana Mall. It's a high-end shop.
Fam, that's enough of that shit.
Man. What kind of crap is that, man?
Go ahead.
Is it because of the? I mean, is it because of the age? I mean, is it just?
They did look young.
They didn't give a damn about the baby. Just like, I want some. I need me some new jeans and some tennis shoes. So then the baby's gonna get in the way. I'm not gonna be able to try on all my stuff because it's damn baby. I just don't get it.
I don't know what to say about that either, man. So what's your comments on falling down and the craziness of these people that these two videos we saw?
Well, with the falling down, man, it's just like, our society does things that, you know what I'm saying, that will get to you. You know what I'm saying? And of course, we saw some, the extremities of the things that could happen, but you know, it's almost like their goal is to fuck with us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's just certain things that just don't add up. You know what I'm saying? Like him walking through. I mean, I get homeless people asking for money, this, that, and the other. But like the one that I guess the part that really got to me was like walking across the golf course, and the dude, get off my golf course. It's like I am, and then he's just like, oh, all right, you're not moving fast enough, and swings, just I don't know, man, it's just crazy. But yeah, I don't know. It was I loved the movie when it came out, but I guess seeing it again, it just kind of reminds me of like all the things that we're going through right now. The stuff that we seeing is just like
it's the same shit, and that's the reason why I played it. And that's like the '90s. And the part that got me in the movie was the soda part, because it's like he walked in the store and he's like, I just need some change to get, so I can use the phone. And the dude's like, no change. You have to buy something. So he goes and picks a soda can that he figures is about 50 cents and takes it up there to the counter. And the dude's like 75 cents or whatever it was, 85 cents or some shit. And he was like, well, that don't leave me enough change to pay for the phone. And that's the whole point. I really just want change for the phone. The price is 85 cents. You take it, you buy it, you leave or whatever. and the dude, he just lost it. He was like, he completely lost it. Like this soda's supposed to be 50 cents. He just started tearing the store.
Yeah. Well, look, what about because I saw him shoot up. I don't remember what led to him shooting up the payphone.
He was on the phone, and the dude kept fucking with him the whole time. You know how people are impatient. Like whatever you're doing is not nearly as important as whatever they need to do. People don't know nothing about payphones nowadays. But anyways, back in the days, people out there, you had, if we didn't have cell phones. So if you was outside away from the home phone was the only phone you had to use the payphone. The payphone, you just put some change in there, or pay or whatever, and you can call people. So the dude is on the phone, he's talking to someone, whatever. It's really some damn serious ass shit too, super fucking serious. Yeah. And the dude outside of the thing keeps banging on the thing and like, hurry up, other people need to use the phone and blah, blah, all this, the whole time he's on the phone. And then when he gets off the phone, he's like, oh, you need to use the phone, really? That damn bad? The phone is out. It's out of order. You're gonna have to go find you another phone. That's how that scene went.
Yeah, now that. Well, you don't see them very often, but it's like a couple of truck stops I've been to where they actually have the privacy payphone like this. Yeah, it's like a little closet, and it's not like that one. This is like actually they built rooms, little small rooms for you to go in, but yeah,
and it's the same way. You pay and you get the call. Is that how it works?
I've never used it. I got my cell phone. I don't know who really goes and uses it, but yeah, I'm assuming it's still just regular. I don't know how much it costs, because I'm assuming now a payphone like that might cost 50 cents or $1. Yeah. Man, I remember when payphone was a dime.
I remember. You put a quarter in there to get 15 cents back.
Mm-hmm. Back when I used to carry a pager, I used payphone all the time. But
Nick, what niggas was doing though? Niggas was breaking into the payphone, stealing the damn change and shit, stealing the whole payphone.
Yeah, well, I have heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, bro, how you feeling, bro? How's things? How's life? I ain't gonna keep you long. I see you tired.
Yeah, everything's pretty cool, man. same old, same old. That tire bust on me, and took them forever to get me fixed up. Like I'm way behind schedule. I was supposed to be delivering at 5 o'clock in the morning, but um, that's not gonna happen. But it is what it is. It happens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a part of doing business.
it is. Well, what's happening on your end?
Wait. Let me ask you a question because I don't know that much about the business side of that. Like, would you call that operating expense? Can you or do you have to cover that cost every time because it's your truck? Okay, or do you cover the cost and then call it operating expenses on your taxes?
Well, cause see, the blowout was on the trailer. I rent the trailer. They're responsible for repairs on the trailer. The truck is mine. So something happens with the truck, I'm responsible for it. The only thing I'm responsible for on the trailer is making sure that I let them know if there's any issues with it and something needs to be, done to it. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I can write off pretty much. I mean, pretty much whatever kind of expense I have, from any kind of repairs, maintenance, uh, replacement tires, or all that stuff I can write off. Of course, the fuel, tolls, shoot, even like cleaning my clothes and stuff. Like I can write off pretty much everything. But,
I think a lot of people don't understand that part of like owning a business. Like when my dad always what do they call it? Itemize your taxes. The way I do my taxes is the quick one. I actually go to H&R Block or whatever, and I just let them do it. But the form is the regular quick form. So, but like my dad always, and he said everybody should do it. And I didn't understand it before. I understand it a lot better now. But I think a lot of people out there don't really understand that. You want to explain that for them? I think people would be interested in that.
well, things change from time to time when it comes to your taxes, but I mean, I think for the most part, when you set up, you know, if you can, if you get a job where you can go in as a contractor, because I mean, if you go in as an employee, it's already kind of set up, and you know, they're basically gonna take a certain amount of, every week for your taxes. But when you're dealing with it on, like a 1099 or, um, because that's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much just a 1099. Because when, let's say you fill out a W-2 or what, a W-4.
W-4.
You fill out a W-4, but for me, when as long as I've been a contractor or like an owner operator, I fill out a W-9. So you're pretty much going in as your own business. Even though you're working through another company, you're hiring like you're employing your business to this company, and you still work through your own company, so that way you can have whatever write-offs that you need, because it's your business that's being taxed and not you as a person.
And I think that part is the part that's important that people don't understand, because a lot of these big corporations use that when people try to sue them. It's like, you can't sue them. You can sue their corporation though. And then they got so many loopholes with that. So, but everybody can do this though, right? Pretty much, right?
Well, like I said, I think it's kind of depends on like how you set yourself up. Because I mean, if you're truly, let's just say you have a skill, and instead of working directly for the company, if you go in as a, a contractor, and you have your business set up, whether it's a sole proprietorship or LLC or whatever it is. Because I mean, depending on what it is, yeah, you might have to be bonded or whatever else, on other, different types of stuff. I guess different types of businesses is gonna work differently just based on, that type of business. But like for trucking, yeah, I just have my LLC set up. They don't, of course they do my background just to for my license, because I'm the hired driver for my own company. But since I'm still going through their company, yeah, they do my background on my driving and this, that, and the other. But I technically don't work for that company. My business does. Yeah. So.
And you can change that if and when necessary, right?
Yeah, because I mean, it depends on, like I said, a lot of it. Because I mean, you're not gonna go to McDonald's and say, my business wants to work through your, what I'm saying, they're not hiring, private contractors, what I'm saying? So it really depends. I mean, if you truly have a skill where, you do tile, you do painting, you do, you're, even if like you're a carpenter or, like you have a skill, yeah, you can set it up that way. That way you can receive benefits on the way, however you're handling your taxes.
And I think a lot of people miss that, like the people who go to school, trade schools, and then they go looking for a job when they could just do their own business too, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you're saying.
Yeah. Because I mean, the legal side of everything is really what like just understanding that, that's how you kind of separate yourself from being a slave, because you can charge different rates as a business. They're only going to pay a employee so much, but if you have you have your business stuff set up when you go in, and not to say if you have other workers underneath you, you're giving it more, your company more value, you can charge, and then still be, you can charge even for your employees at a higher rate. You might pay them, whatever, $10-12, and you still might get paid $15 or $18 per hour for your worker. So I mean, it just really just depends on how you set the stage for yourself, setting your business up. So even if you got like a cleaning company, you have your workers, you still, I've hired cleaning company come clean up my crib. Shit, they still charge like $75-80 an hour. But they ain't paying their workers no damn $75 an hour. You know what I'm saying? So, but
it's kind of the way the game go.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're willing to get paid each time you take on a job as an employee or as a business owner or whatever. You are making a decision that you're willing to get paid a certain amount for your work. Like you're accepting that, whatever the amount is. So that's what happens.
Your time is automatically more valuable. Because I mean, just say like this load that I got today. I mean, if I was just a regular truck driver and I worked for the company, they would only pay me by the mile. What's wrong?
Oh, my daughter came in here and sprayed some damn perfume. I don't know how much she fucking sprayed because I can't fucking breathe.
Yeah, but now, that's just like I was saying, like if I was just a company driver, they would only pay me by the mile. Let's just say, with my experience, they might pay me 50, 60 cents a mile. Let's just say 60 cents a mile. But because of me as a company, they're paying, like on this load, I think I'm somewhere around 260 something a mile on this load. So, I might have been closer to $3 because I didn't actually do the exact math, but I know it was like $1,100 for this load, and it's like 360 miles. So it's probably closer to $3 or so per mile. Whereas a company driver, I would only gotten paid 60 cents a mile. You know what I'm saying? So same job, but different responsibilities,
Yeah, and just simply because of the way you have it set up too, like it's you have it set up to in a more beneficial way, for you.
Yeah. It makes a difference.
So, but that's why I'm doing this channel too, though. I mean, like, education is a lot, right? Like, I mean, like, that's what makes the difference between how much you're getting paid on the same job, like right now, right? The knowledge that you have, right?
Yeah, the same. I'm doing the same exact work. Same exact work.
I think that's important, man. I think that's I think that that should be able to help people out there, thinking about their evaluating. I think with Corona made a lot of people reevaluate their life, because they made everybody go home and quarantine, and we all kind of it forced us to restructure our life. So then after Corona, now we're like, thinking about, even though I don't know if we are after Corona right now, but after the quarantine, we are looking at our lives and like thinking about how we could build it in different ways, just because our imagination has been opened up, because our whole life got broken into pieces. And now we're like, wait, I don't want it to be the way it was before.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, man, when you're a survivor and you go through something, I mean, you can call it traumatic. Like this might, the pandemic was somewhat of a blessing to a lot of people because it pushed them out of that comfort zone of, okay, I got this job, and, they kind of depend on it. But then when they see it can be taken away within moments, like out of the blue, then it's like, damn, I mean, they got to figure out some kind of way to live. So that time on their hands allowed them to see, like you said, see the world a lot different. And like I was watching a video of Dr. Boyce Watkins this morning, and he was talking about how, like in masses, like people are quitting their jobs because they're, a lot of them are going into investments and things like that. Like I said, I mean, I know a lot of people learning the skill of stocks and the, what you call it, the cryptocurrency and, different stuff like that, and they're making money. And some of them might only be doing, $300, $500, maybe even up to $1,000 a day, because they've learned the skill on how to make money from the stock market. So, and I'm sure there's other things too. I mean, whether it's the digital real estate type of stuff, starting online businesses, pretty much is what that is. Just learning new outlets to be able to be at home and still be able to make the money, that probably more money than they were making running out to somebody else's business.
And then, the other part of it is how they made so many jobs remote, when before they was telling everybody that they had to show up to the office, and then overnight they was able to make all these jobs over Zoom. And then that made people think, wait a minute, I got to beat up my car and burn my gas and fight traffic every day, eat shitty lunch.
Yeah, that's that whole idea of you doing that is a sense of control. And you know, when they're able to bring you, put you in a little cubicle, keep you, you know, in this little box, they can come over and change your whole attitude based on however they might be feeling. You know, they got some, you know, stank attitude, and they, you know, whatever, like it's being able to oppress you with thoughts and words and all this other kind of stuff. And you know, all this time, like for the last year and a half, a lot of people, you know, like right now, I know a few people that's got to go back to work. They've been working from home, having the peace to be able to, you know, they still get, you know, they might be in their boxes doing meetings all over the damn world. And now it's like, you know, they definitely got to go back into work, when it's like this thing has been working for the last year and a half. Like, what's the real purpose? And like I said,
And
it's that.
and you could, you know, the global warming and everything, because you know people be having to go on these meetings and they got to fly all over the world, and you know they be talking about how the airplanes be emitting a lot of pollution and all of that stuff. So it's kind of like all of that's tied up in together. You know, the gas that we're using when we drive the cars. You know.
Yeah, that's definitely. It really doesn't make sense, especially for certain jobs. I mean, there are certain jobs where, yeah, you have to be there.
Like a construction worker, how you gonna do that through Zoom? You
Yeah,
can't.
I mean, construction worker. I mean, you work in the mall. You know, certain
There's jobs
things.
out there, but there's a whole bunch of them that don't. You don't have to show up to the office. Ain't no fucking reason.
None.
Maybe once a week or something. You know.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to have in-person meetings and this, that, and the other, but like I was saying a little while ago, it's a lot deeper than just, you know, having that access for, you know, meetings and this and that and the other.
It's more
Like
to it.
Yeah.
The control, like you said, because like I say, driving, fighting traffic every fucking day, eating a shitty ass lunch. And it's just like what we said in the other video about people making over 100 a year and
Or
can't breathe.
or the just have, you know, like if you're at work, because a lot of people may not even take their lunch to work. It's just like it's more money circulating when you're out and about. Because I mean, if you're at home, you go run to the fridge, gave you something to eat, and that's that.
You might have made a
You at
peanut butter
work,
and jelly sandwich and loved it. Didn't cost you
yeah.
nothing.
But you're at work, it's like, you know, you especially like these offices, it's like they're running into Bennigan's and to
You have to
TGI
spend.
Fried, Applebee's, or
And
whatever,
all
you
your
know.
friends, all your coworkers are doing it, and going to the they got the deli right in the building. You walk
That's
out of the office and you smell the
yeah.
deli.
But that's what part of how they're keeping the circulation of that money going in, you know, out, you know, out and about. I mean, once they get you out of the house, because especially after they done got you stressed out throughout the week, you like, shit, I ain't cooking. I mean, you eat out more.
And you
Like
tired
yeah,
because you've been fighting traffic and shit.
yeah.
Shit.
It all ties in. It all ties in.
That is so fucking sad, man. That's so fucking sad. The little cubicle, the little hamster wheel they got all of us on this damn matrix. Because, like I say, people making over 100 a year can't wait till they get off of work. Can't wait for the weekend. Can't wait for their vacation to come.
Well,
Something ain't right, man.
100,000. I mean, once you make 100,000, you realize it is not that much money either. 'Cause, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, you know, of course, like I've lived off of 20,000 a year. I've lived off of 30, 40, 50. You know, I mean, even like even when you get above 100, because I mean, you know, you
And
get
the most I've
accustomed
made
to.
is like over 80. And I know what you're saying is true. It's like no matter how much you're making, a lot of times the way the system is, you spend what they say, the more you make, the more you spend or whatever. It's like your bills just go up, really. You know?
Yeah, well, and
Like
for
you have
me,
more bills.
well, for me, it's not so much. I mean, I guess to a certain extent is bills, cause yeah, but your quality of life, the certain things that you, because like especially when you know McDonald's ain't shit, you rather, you know, instead of spending $5 or $6 on, you know, a burger and, you know, a little meal or whatever, you'll go get you a good burger. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, let me get me a higher quality burger if that's what I'm gonna eat. So you end up spending shit $12 on that meal, or 15, on that meal, instead of that $6 or $7 that you might spend at McDonald's. So that's a lot. You don't really see it, but then you kind of like, why would I, why won't I eat better since I can afford to eat? What, you went bald?
No. I got a haircut and I'm looking at my edge up. I'm like, he gave me a quick ass haircut, like he was ready to go. I hate that shit. So, but whatever.
Yeah. Well,
I love my barber though. He's been cutting my hair for years and years and years. So he get a pass.
Yeah, man. Shit. But yeah, man, I think that's where a lot of the money goes, is where, you make a little more, and your mind is just kind of like, you might go to, because I hadn't food with McDonald's in I don't know how long. It's especially like I learned a lot of different stuff, and some of it might be conspiracy, bullshit, what they actually putting in the food, but I just don't go there. So, I mean, at the lowest, I might go to Wendy's. You know what I'm saying? Wendy's, I eat a hell of a lot of Subway, but, if I can get to a nice little place that's, that's where I go. But that money does not stretch as much as you think it should. I mean, especially like when you care about people, you got family, friends, and they don't have as much, but like, my mom does well, but then I like to do shit for her, and little things that I think she should have. Like,
Trust me, I know, bro. My whole damn life, man, was me paying for people I care about stuff. That's
hanging out.
I think that's what we do as black men, though. I think that's just kind of like what happens. I don't know. I don't know if it's a bad thing, but it's just that the more money you make is just the more you have to pay for or whatever. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I don't know, when do you cross over to the point where, you've made enough where, it's still, it's different. I don't know what that question is, but
yeah, I don't know either, man. Cause and it ends up being sometimes like foolish spending. But like if I'm, hanging out with my, my buddies, and, like I got, a lot of my friends probably, they may not make as much, but they make good money with us hanging out. Sometimes I'm just like, man, shit, y'all, I got it. Or shit, I know when I was married, we end up hanging out with some friends. We going to Papa Do's, we going here, there, whatever. Shit, I pay for damn near $300 meal. And just, but I got it, so I'm like, you know what I'm saying, and just like, all right, come on, let's just go.
I know what you mean.
Y'all leave a tip.
I know what you mean, because I've done that too. Because it's like when you got it. Because one time I went out with Kenzie's family, and we went to Galveston, and somehow, anyways, we all met at this restaurant. It was like a seafood restaurant or whatever. And I don't know, maybe 20 or so of us. And then when they was about to ask for the check, and I just knew it was finna be a mess. You know how it is, you know what I'm saying? These my niggas.
I got it on my card.
I love them, but it was just that when we walked into the restaurant, they was already kind of looking at us, because it was a kind of nice restaurant, in Galveston, and So, and then they was kind of looking at us funny and whatever. So, and then when the check came, I was like, man, I'm just do it because they was going to embarrass the shit out of me. I already knew, man. I already knew. So I just paid for the whole damn bill. And I know it surprised the shit out of them people, the whole damn, the waiters or whatever, because they probably knew they was finna have a mess too. So I saved a lot of people a lot of trouble that day. It was an expensive bill though. Later on, I was looking at that shit and I was like, "What the fuck, Chaka?" What was? But like you said,
I've been in that position before.
When you got it, you just be like, whatever. Because
it's just money, and you know, like a lot of times it's like, shit. I live in abundance, so I know I make it. I'm gonna make it all over again. Fuck it, to hell with it. So I don't do it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't do something like
niggas don't appreciate shit as far as that.
Well, you know what happens? They start looking. They expect that that's what they're gonna do.
Like okay, he bought everybody's lunch. And go to lunch doing them again. And like you finna buy? No. I can't keep buying everybody's lunch every time I go to lunch.
Yeah, and I even though I'll be ready to pay for it, but I was like, well, shit, I paid for it the last time. Who turned is it now?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. That's how it really should go. That's what niggas don't understand. I don't understand when people go to restaurants and it be the same family, like mother, son, brother, sister, baby mama, cousin. I work in a restaurant and they want to split. Everybody having a split check. It be husband and wife be having a split check. I'm like,
no,
what the fuck? Man. I'm not even kidding. It's so retarded. What are y'all doing?
Well, I mean, you know what? The whole Cash App thing, I think is cool. Because, I mean, somebody really wants to participate. They know you just took care of the bill. Because, I mean, I've had that too, where somebody, they'll Cash App me, $20, $30 or, whatever their meal was or something. But for the most part, a lot of people just like, shit, I just got me a free meal. That shit was good. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just... They
don't appreciate shit.
Well, a lot of times it's the females and my female friends and cousins and shit like that. And so anytime I'm with my mama, I look at her funny if she digging her purse. Like, what the heck? What you doing? So I mean, when it comes to family, yeah, especially the females of the family, But yeah, man.
You look tired, bro. I'm gonna let you go. You got to get up early in the morning, huh?
Not as early as I thought I was gonna have to get up, because I mean I end up driving later. So when I shut down, I think I stopped around 9:30. I think I might have stopped, so I won't be able to start up again until 7:30. So I won't have to get up at like 4 or 5 o'clock like I thought I would. But I mean, you had any other topics? If you want us.
Well, I have some stuff, but I don't want to put you to sleep. Some of it is
what you'll likely hear.
Poverty.
I want to show you a neighborhood protest. Dozens of people banding together to show their opposition to a propane storage facility, which is being built right there near where they all live. The facility would have the capacity to store up to 300,000 gallons of propane. KPRC2's Brandon Walker live near Hillcroft and West Orem tonight in the neighborhood that those families are trying to protect. Brandon?
And Dominican, they're also trying to challenge how the state notifies neighbors, particularly who's notified and why. Neighbors say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 60-gallon tanks meant to store propane. Well, that's just too close to home.
It's right in our backyard.
In the Southwest Crossing neighborhood of Southwest Houston, the marquee makes known the rage. Non-negotiables, say neighbors who today practice their power to picket propane.
They need to stop it.
We've lived in this community for 36 years.
Craig Green has tracked construction with his cell phone.
You got a church here, church there, 2 more churches up here.
We live here. We're citizens of Houston, and this is unacceptable.
This is not helping us any kind of way for this to be placed right here.
CenterPoint is building the $7.3 million facility called the Latana Point Reserve Peak Shaving Unit. It will store some 300,000 gallons of propane for when supply needs a kick to catch up with demand. Construction started in March. It's set to end in October. CenterPoint in May sent letters to residents they're required to notify, 26 of them within 500 feet of the site, and in a statement said the facility will be safe. Quote, we are meeting or exceeding all code requirements and have construction permits for the City of Houston and the Railroad Commission of Texas.
The state law required them to send it out to people within 500 feet. They did that, but I think that needs to be changed.
Yeah, Houston Fire Chief Samuel Pena agrees with that point, too, saying that the communication process here is...
Yeah, so did you hear that shit?
Man, that looked like a setup.
And this is what happens very, very commonly, especially here in Texas, because, you know, the thing is, you know, we're very segregated. We're probably more segregated than we was in like the 60s and 70s here, as far as our neighborhoods where people live. So, and then the thing is, what they do is these kind of factories, chemicals, anything, railroads, freeways, anything that could be the dump, they put them right next to the hood every fucking time, right next to blacks and Hispanics every fucking time. It's very, very racial. You seen in the video, most of the people who was complaining was black people because that was a black neighborhood.
Of course. And then, I mean, you know, the messed up thing about it is, I know most of these people, working people, when they're having these meetings and they're talking about it, because like a lot of times the businesses within the area, you know, in that community can hear about it. If they don't like it, they can get that stuff shut down.
And it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So because they're not aware of, you know, when they're discussing it and the plans and this, that, and the other, where they could have shut it down before it even ever got started.
And that's why at the end, when they were saying there's issues with communication, because like they didn't already started the project. That's when they ask y'all if is it okay if we do it or some shit like that. They already talked to the business leaders months and months ago, maybe a year ago.
Yeah. So I mean, when it's starting off and they're driving by it and they see it going, oh damn, I wonder what they're building over there. Oh, that looks like it's gonna be something nice. They got it all spread out. And then what is that? I'm serious. Like I probably would have been the same thing. Damn, I wonder what's about to come up over there. You know what I'm saying?
It's probably gonna be a Walmart or something. Shit.
Yeah, man. Don't shoot. We about to get something popping around here. And then now it's like, wait a minute, what?
What?
Propane.
Propane tank.
Say, bro. And then the thing about it, like, man, an accident can happen so
easy.
Say, bro, propane.
So easy, and then it's so close to the people's house. I mean, they just gonna say I'm sorry, and then they're gonna be like, y'all gotta sue us or something. But damn, I'm dead. My family member's dead. My house is gone. Y'all blowed my shit up by accident.
Dude, how many gallons he said that they said that was gonna be like? There's like
I would move
3,000 gallons each one of those tanks or something.
I'm moving right away. But what sucks about that is if you owned your house, how you gonna sell that hoe? It's gonna be below value, especially since they just put fucking propane tanks next to your house. How you gonna sell it?
Ain't gonna no selling it. I mean, well, the thing about that is because a lot of those homes are gonna turn into just rental homes. If those people start selling, yeah, somebody will buy them. You know, shoot, maybe even somebody connected to
it's gonna be probably gonna be below property value. You're gonna get fucked. I would take that L. I would take that L and move.
Yeah, the equity is just there is none. I mean, you probably like even if they bought the house back in the 80s,
And that's what makes me so mad, because you just killed these people's whole property value and you put toxic ass shit next to them. And you did it to the black community because you knew these niggas wasn't, you could get away with it.
Yep. Yeah, man, that's wild. That's a double or triple whammy.
You be killing me.
I'm serious though, man.
Because it is. I hear you.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh man, like that's so cold.
Yeah, man, that's bamboozled. Run them up.
Yeah, I saw that story and I wanted to share it because I was like, that's some cold-blooded shit. And it just shows, because if they do anything, railroad tracks, them damn when they be talking about them gas pipelines or them oil pipelines.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, man, my the whole, when you mentioned the railroad, the way it used to run through this I guess you could say ghetto neighborhood, or like a low income neighborhood, man, them dudes used to rob the fucking train. It was just like Wild Wild West. Like, cause I mean they coming through with whatever it is. Shoot, they find those different what you call those things? Those cars, those different cars that's loaded up with appliances, clothes, whatever, and the train stops. It's creeping through, it's dropping off at certain places, and then they in other cars robbing the shit out of it, just tossing shit out. It's passing right through their neighborhood, and then once it's done, shoot, man, even like guns and like they done like got all kind of shit where they done robbed the train. So it's kind of, hey, they setting themselves up for some. They probably still doing it. Some of them, I remember this was when I was in, high school and stuff like that. People that was a little bit older than me, that they come back like they dress good all the time. I'm telling you. It used to trip me out. Like a lot of the guys when I was growing up, I wasn't from like a, hood, but shit, all the dudes that was from the hood, man, they the cleanest ones at school. I'm like, I know some of them probably, some of their parents was drug dealers, and they had money because, from that or whatever. But shit, man, it seemed like they was balling more than we were, and we was from like a little middle class, probably more lower middle class families.
But it always appears that way, the grass always looks greener on the other side,
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, that's what at least what it looked like, A lot of them have been in and out of jail and all that, so I ain't really, I ain't mad at. I mean, I wouldn't looking to trade places with them there. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, they are the interstates. Everything, like a lot of times that's where they reroute, like, to mess up the dynamics of that neighborhood, because like at certain periods of time, a lot of these black neighborhoods, the communities had businesses, and a lot of them owned those old homes and stuff in those neighborhoods.
And it's a way to wall off communities too, and kind of like limit access and also control access and shit like that, because the way they build these damn neighborhoods over here on the southwest Houston, you could clearly see how like it's set up for no through traffic because it's like all U-turn. Like certain neighborhoods aren't, you know, you're not supposed to drive through them unless you live there. Like this, you could tell the streets are telling you that. You're obviously lost if you're in this neighborhood unless you live there.
Yeah, a lot of it is really diverting. Like, I mean, the only reason why you should be there is if you live around there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of how it's set up for the most part. Like, you must be lost or you live here if you end up in that neighborhood because they have it messed up, you know. And I know, like, I'm speaking specifically, you know, from Baton Rouge where I grew up because, like, they specifically ran the interstate through those areas. You know, they had like a lot of Baton Rouge wasn't grown up where there was places where they could have run it where nobody already owned land. You know what I'm saying? Like people not even living there, they could have run it through different areas, but they didn't. They specifically did it through the black neighborhoods for, you know, to slow down whatever kind of progress they may have had. No.
It's so sad, and I think that a lot of people don't want to admit this or realize it or face it, but the evidence is there. All you got to do is really look at the maps. The maps will tell you everything, and the way, the history of the map, how it, you know, certain, all that.
Yeah. Do people know? Do people know that? Like, if you let's just say you do live in the hood, you trying to get your credit to build up, and this, that, and the other. You get a PO box in a rich area, and when you put it, they put in your address, and they see you living like you get looked at differently because of that, because of your address, your zip code.
I talked about that a lot in another video I did. Yep.
Yeah.
Your zip code, your address means so fucking much.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between an apartment number and having a house number on your address.
Yep.
And or a business address even. All different levels.
Yep.
I got some local shit. Let's check this out.
You to follow the latest developments from that botched raid on Harding Street. That's the raid back in January of 2019 that left Dennis Tuttle and Regina Nicholas dead. As we reported just last night in this newscast as breaking news, a murder charge against a Houston police officer who was involved in that raid has been dropped, all due to a former prosecutor. KPRC2 investigator Mario Diaz spoke to that fired prosecutor, and the officer's attorney joins us live now with what he's learned tonight. Mario?
Chris, both of these individuals are still dealing with the stunning developments from just over 24 hours ago. One of them opting to speak with us on camera, the other sending statements to KPRC2 Investigates. I was fired because I was openly critical of how Jules Johnson, the Civil Rights Division head, and Kim Ogg were mishandling the Gallegos case. This was the opening sentence of a statement to KPRC2 Investigates from former Harris County Prosecutor Kobe Leslie. It comes less than 24 hours after Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg announced he was fired over his conduct and judgment in a Harding Street murder case. Ogg says this led to the dismissal of the murder charge against HPD officer Felipe Gallegos. Not so fast, writes Leslie. They had to dismiss the case because they were too incompetent and too inexperienced to know how to prepare a case like that for trial, and too arrogant to listen to people who did. It has absolutely nothing to do with questions of judgment.
I'm not willing to concede that this prosecutor is the cause of anything, and I'm not willing to throw him on a bus the way they are.
Attorney Rusty Hardin, along with other attorneys representing HPD officers tied to Harding Street, went up against the DA's office in court today, highlighting the stunning firing and the DA's reasons for it.
I don't know of anything this guy did wrong. Now, maybe there's something we don't know. All we were doing today is let's just let the light shine in and find out.
Hardin says he will get the opportunity in late September. Judge Frank Aguilar set a hearing to address the claims.
What did you think about that shit?
That's pretty interesting. I mean, and that's kind of a wild statement to make. You know what I'm saying? He ought to have been glad to be out of there, but he's like, shit, calling names. You know, they too incompetent. Like, oh shit, he looking for some trouble. But I mean,
Well, the first thing, what I get from that, what screams from that, is corruption, corruption, corruption. Right? A whole bunch
and
of
it could have
shit.
been a setup. Yeah, I mean, because I mean, that's you saying. I mean, because I was definitely getting to that because I was one of the main thoughts that I was having was that was the setup for him to be able to get out was incompetence and like acting as if like they didn't know how to handle this. They knew exactly what they were doing. Potentially, it's a high probability they knew exactly what they were doing to be able to get that cop off.
And incompetence is not an excuse either, right?
No, ignorance, because I mean the ignorance, because that's just like even with us regular citizens, ignorance of the law is no excuse. You know what I'm saying? You get out there and you do a speeding ticket. Oh, I didn't know I
You still finna
whatever.
get this ticket.
Yeah, you get the ticket. I mean, everybody supposed to know the law. If you subject to it, you should know it. At least know what the consequences are. And if you don't know the consequences, well, I feel sorry for you. This is what you're gonna deal with. And that's the same thing. I mean, if you are you practice law, if you you got the power to be able to put charges on somebody, and and especially like she said too arrogant to get with somebody else that knew how to handle that law. That case. It's just like I don't think that they were that stupid. I think it was the way for them to
Get him off.
that was more of their genius to
Mhm.
be able to handle it that way so he could slip through
So we
the
could
cracks.
get off. Yeah. So, and that's what I'm saying. So, and then Harris County City HPD, they got a history of fucking like shady, super shady, and like, so just from that story alone, if you never heard nothing about Harris County HPD or none of that, it would be screaming that something is going on there. Like the story, that's why I played that story, because you watch that news story and what you're gonna get is what the hell, what is really going on, what's happening, what's the deal, because what they're saying is obviously not it. And then you got people all emotional and shit, so something is this, you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They scared of getting their fucking
And then it's
illegal shit
it's
come
so
out.
easy. It's so easy for them to come out with a slap on the wrist. It's like shame on you. Like
That's what they do. They blame the individual instead of looking at the system that's going on, where you got cops that can do things that's fucked up and not be held accountable. And they're just saying, oh, there's just a few bad apples, but the system is not dealing with these bad apples; it's creating them.
Well,
and letting them get off.
Yeah. Because I mean, he was he wasn't in jail. Was he suspended?
I think he was in jail. I don't know. I think he was in jail. I don't know because that was a serious ass case. Because like I don't remember, because I was watching a story related to that case because this has been going on. And so basically they all know this guy did it. He did it. It was some kind of like that's why they didn't talk about the details in this news story. But the details in the news story show that the dude did it. I can't think of it right now because it was like I can't think of the details. I don't want to be wrong because I'm on video. So, but the details show that the dude clearly freaking did the shit. So that's another reason why they're talking about incompetence, because the dude should have got some kind of punishment for it, because it was clear evidence that he did it.
Yeah. I mean, he seemed pretty damn arrogant himself to be.
That's how they are. It's like, I'm above the law. I can, I can murder people and not go to jail for it.
Yeah, they've actually, a lot of them have you know, made themselves the law, like whatever they say, or I'm the cop and I say so type of, scenarios. And I hate to see, that same guy on the street with just a regular citizen, they could be fucked up in 2.2 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Just
that badge and that gun. That badge and that gun.
But for me, I guess maybe I've studied too much of the law to be able to, like, I mean, this should really be red flags to a lot of people, because like it should let you know that a lot of what the average person considers, a place of justice, or like, just this is a just, like this, assumably a just system where somebody can get justice. And these types of things happen so regular, it should, for the learned person, they know that it's all a setup. Like, that's just not the way court's supposed, it's just, you're not supposed to be that damn stupid in that kind of position. I don't know. It's just.
And that's what earlier when we said incompetence is not an excuse. No way. No. Here, check this out.
Governor Abbott remains in quarantine at the governor's mansion after testing positive for COVID-19. And today we're learning new details about the antibody treatments he's receiving from Regeneron. KPRC2's Sophia Ojeda joining us live now from the Texas Medical Center with more on that. Sophia.
Keith, one doctor at UTMB Health says that the Regeneron treatment is available to anyone who is experiencing mild to moderate COVID-19 symptoms. And for those who aren't showing any symptoms, they may also qualify if they have other risk factors.
As you may have heard by now, I have tested positive for COVID-19.
Governor Greg Abbott announced Tuesday he tested positive for coronavirus. He's not showing symptoms, but is said to be receiving Regeneron monoclonal antibody treatment, a treatment Houston doctor Peter Hotez says is usually reserved for those with symptoms.
And if he's asymptomatic, why is he getting monoclonal antibodies? So there's pieces missing here. Hard to speculate.
This week alone, Houston Methodist has 800 people scheduled to get the antibody treatment. And at UTMB Health, hundreds also getting the antibody infusion therapy, with demand growing.
People that qualify typically are mild to moderate disease, so COVID positive. They're not in the hospital yet. Those without symptoms who qualify are those patients that are high risk for disease progression.
Like nursing home patients, those who are immunocompromised, your age, and certain other conditions may also qualify you. KPRC does not know Governor Abbott's full medical history or if he is immune suppressed. David Fry, who had a kidney transplant and is immunocompromised, received the infusion therapy after testing positive a few weeks ago. He believes that and the vaccine helped him from getting any worse.
I thank God that.
What'd you think about that, man?
I mean, I definitely would want to know what's in it. I mean, it doesn't quite sound the same as like the vaccine, and technically, I mean, I'm sorry, I said it, but it doesn't seem like the same technology as what is going around in mass. So I mean, just the name of it kind of doesn't make it so alarming, but I would still be like, at this point I still want to know what's in everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the what kind of background does this thing have? How long has it been around? Like, I got plenty of questions about it, but if it's something that that's gonna help people, then
Yeah, I want to know more about it. That's why I played that, because it's like, and then Greg Abbott, it's just a very interesting video. First off, that him catching COVID and then them making it into a story, you know, because of Texas being Texas and Governor Abbott saying the stuff that he's been saying. And so that's why it's a story. But then you got the introduction of this new drug or something. Like, that's really interesting. So
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, just because I'm leaving the possibility that maybe it's not a new drug. Maybe it's something that has been around for a while. It's been used, you know, time and time again because, you know, but, you know, because they're not introducing it in this story as if, you know, hey, we got some other new great thing that we can try. You know what I'm saying?
It didn't sound like that. Right.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, okay, maybe this thing has been used. There's, you know, they know the side effects. They, you know, it's been tested for years already or used for years already, and it's mainly for certain types of patients. You know what I'm saying? So it sounds like they have more of a understanding for its use, which probably could have, you know, something that could have been used instead of the other thing for, you know, the masses. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's,
and that's what I'm thinking.
That's the
why
main
it's
thing.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing that the people, you know, we need, you know, the people need is something that is going to give you a good response for your antibodies, you know, your immune system, because that's what your immune system is doing, is creating antibodies that will fight to break down or get rid of the virus. So if this thing gives that kind of enhancement, then what's the purpose of creating what they've created?
The other thing, the jab.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a lot to it, man. It's a lot of crazy stuff that, you know, if you're not a thinker.
That's why I'm doing these videos. Hopefully people can read between the lines and I try not to say too much, and I let the videos, hopefully I try to find videos that say the stuff I want to say. That way they, you know, they can't come at me.
Yeah.
If it ain't gonna put you to sleep, check this out.
None of us are safe until every single person on this globe has access to a vaccine. Therefore, we can't have full vaccination in Western countries and practically zero access to vaccine in the global South.
Pfizer's green pill! Break the button now! Pfizer's green pill! Pfizer, you get hurt! We can see your greedy side! Pfizer, you get hurt! We can see your greedy side! Pfizer's green pill! Pfizer's green pill! Pfizer's green pill! Pfizer's green
We're acting as if the pandemic is over when it is not. We see that the Delta variant is on the rise in New York City, and the Delta variant came straight out of South Asia, where people didn't have access to vaccines, and so the virus mutated.
India is on track to become the world's epicenter for the coronavirus.
Indonesia has surpassed India's daily COVID-19 cases.
And we need to be focused on using our resources to make sure that we all have access to quality healthcare. We can all have access to quality healthcare. We just have to have the will to do it.
My bad.
Yeah, nah, it's good, man. That's kind of weird, you know. There's places that's begging for it, and the places, and it seemed like these places. I mean, because I already know that India is real poor. A lot of those, for the most part, like the population in Asia itself. God bless you.
Excuse me.
I'm just wondering, what's the importance of stressing it so much in one place, and in others it's like, okay, if they really want this thing, why are you not focusing on those people? That's a big question for me. If they really want it, I mean, even though I don't think they probably don't understand what it is, but because I mean, there's so many thoughts I guess I have, and I probably shouldn't really express it so much.
Well, I get what you're saying. You're saying it doesn't make any fucking sense. Basically, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Because it doesn't. And it's like, okay, so you got the people over here in the United States, the black people. Recently they said they'll give you $100 to take Harris County. The Linda Hidalgo, the judge, she said she'll give you $100 if you take the jab. That's just recently. Mm-hmm. So, and then in this video,
shit, they were giving away weed and donuts and shit, like biscuits and all kind of different stuff. And it's just like, okay.
So you got people in other countries though begging for the shot, for the jab, and they won't give it to them. But meanwhile, this whole time you got these companies making money off of the jab, and that's really what it's about, right? Because that's what they were saying in the video.
Yeah, because see, that's one thing about our government has already funded for us to get it for free. If you decide you want it, you can have it. You can go get it. You don't have to worry about if you got health care. You ain't got to.
Because they paid for it already.
It's already paid for our people, for Americans. So it's like, okay. I mean, I somewhat get that because, okay, you got a budget that was set up to make sure that your people can get it, and you still need to make sure it's available for those who.
But why is it a private company that's owning this shit and distributing it and making a profit off of it when this is it's a pandemic and people are dying? It's super serious. It's not like a regular like normal type disease that people get over time, like type 2 diabetes, even though they charge you out the ass for insulin, which that shit should be cheap as hell. That's another thing that's way overpriced, price gouged to death. You could damn near make.
Have they ever said how much each inoculation actually costs?
I don't know. I'd have to look at that. I haven't. I can't say.
Yeah.
So, but the price, the cost because the thing is, right, what they always be saying is they spend a bunch of money on research, right? Because that's always their excuse for their prices, because everybody knows that once they produce whatever the hell they produce, it costs like nothing for them to produce it, because it's always made out of these like synthetic materials that can be just made. So it's super, and then they charge you a whole lot for each pill or each shot or each dose or whatever it is. And people be like, wait, why it costs so much? They be like, well, we spent billions of dollars in research trying to come up with this shit. So, we recoup that. We have to recoup that we spent on the front end. So what do you think about that?
Well, I'm not really sure how that's recouping, because if you put money in it to, almost as an investment, because I mean, I guess we had to really look at how they structured that money that was coming out of the government, because if it was an investment and, the U.S. paying for it, is, I don't know. I think I just confused myself, because it's just like,
it's a fucking mess.
how could they structure that? Because I mean, all it could be is maybe a tax cut,
Well, they use whatever taxes that they have already collected, and they just, they allocate certain funds to certain, whatever. And then people are always okay with you spending money on research and development on stuff that's going to help you, help people's health and save people's lives, right? So, but then they deposit that money usually in a private, it's a private company who's doing the research. And so, but see, the government won't be the only investor. There's going to be other investors the way it's going to be set up. And then whoever decides to have the ownership of that shit, however the ownership ends up landing, sometimes it be the government owned in that shit. And then it's still sold by a private company, but the government owns the, the patent or whatever. So, but then too, like I say, so it's all about the money, that's the whole thing. You got to get a patent on something so that you can make a whole bunch of money off of it. You there, Pat?
Yeah. No, I'm here. I'm just kind of like.
I know I'm putting you to sleep, bro. I'm sorry.
No, I honestly, like, I was so much into the thought of how this stuff could go, because it's just like they funded it, like they invested in it, like they got patents. Like, because I mean, you think about, the ownership of both, because I'm not sure if you know about the whole, who's holding the patents to these different sequences, I'm gonna call it. They have the sequences set up and they're patented, so they have the ownership of it. They've somehow been able to get the government to pay for it, but the individuals are making the profits
and exactly. And this is what I be talking about all the time, because you talk about the military industrial complex, you talk about the pharmaceutical health hospital complex, you talk about, I don't know if it's the oil and natural resources complex or whatever you want to call this shit, and it's all the same as far as that what you're talking about with the connections with these private companies, because it's always the contractors where all the money goes. But those contractors be government official friends and buddies and family members and shit.
It'd be shell companies that they might actually, they contractors, but they can hire other people to actually do the work. So, like, through this other company, they're able to pay off other people. It doesn't come directly right back to them,
And that's their separation, so that they can be like, no, that's not my money or whatever. They're not paying me. And then there's other ways they do it with the like the lobbyists. Rotation between people becoming lobbyists and executives of these big companies, because after you work in the government and you lobbied for them, even if you wasn't a lobbyist for them, you help them out, and then after you get no longer in office, they give you this cushy ass job and pay you $250,000 a year to do shit, to sit on your ass, and it's just a gift.
Yeah. So there's I've even seen where, like, we've had presidents that before becoming president, they've transferred their power, or their, let's make their wife a CEO of a company. Maybe it was set up totally up front, but they have they really do have the control of this company, but it's in their wife's name. Maybe another family brother or somebody has a company where they can utilize that business to get contracts. They've negotiated ridiculous prices. That's just, man.
That's how it goes. They price gouge the government because the government's checks are like blank checks. So it's you get to write it in. You get to choose how much the fuck, because it's like unlimited funds. And it's also because it's the way it's connected. Like everybody be vying for those government. If you're an independent contractor, everybody out there watching this know they looking for government contracts all the time. Because if they can get a government contract for whatever they're doing, plumbing, fucking they finna ring ching ching. They finna say, oh, this damn toilet cost me $2,000. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. It's foul. It's foul. You good?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I don't want to say on camera, but I got my hands on some good.
Well, yeah.
That's
I
all I'm
already
saying.
knew what was. I know why you disappeared.
got me sweating over here. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. We got to get him out of there, man. Like, honestly, like I really wish that we could campaign. Like, if I really had all the free time, like one of the things I would really do is try to like go into different neighborhoods, like just go different places and try to talk to people about how important it is for them to consider, because I mean we don't know who's gonna show up in the next the next political races, whereas because I think like the House of Representatives and like some of those seats gonna be coming up, for
Pay attention.
election, huh?
Yeah, they need to pay attention. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, like really pay attention, because I mean, like I said, for me, I don't care if Democrat or Republican, or if we end up with a libertarian or independent. Like, I don't really care. Like, I mean, as far as really, if you have like, because that's one of the things I think that we don't have is a true agenda for people to be able to follow, saying, okay, this is the agenda we have. All right, so these candidates, these people fit in the window of what I'm trying to get done.
And that's what it is. It's so much confusion. You gotta, man, I vote a lot, and I ain't gonna lie, all them damn candidates, I don't know who the fuck all these people are, and I be trying to look them up. It be information, there's ways to do it, but it take a lot of time and effort, and it's a whole shit ton of fucking candidates. And that's what I say, like you say, it's all confusion. They could simplify it and put the candidates in blocks of like, okay, this is what they like, or, this is what they're trying to get done, or what their agenda, and this is what they don't like, or whatever, or they don't want to get done, and whatever. And like, they could put everybody in blocks like that and make it real easy for everybody to be like, it don't even matter their name. Boom, I want this guy because he does the stuff that I want to get done.
Yeah.
And I'll be saying, what do you think about this? Let me ask you this, because I ask a lot of people this. I don't know if I ask you this, because I ask a lot of people this, but how do you feel about a new way? Because our voting system is outdated, right? We haven't updated our voting system and the way we do a lot of shit in forever. And the machines are old as fuck. You press the damn button, you gotta click, roll the fuck down. Really, somebody can hack that with the cell phone. They say they can, but they can't. Anyways, but it would be a lot of work, because you got to go around each polling place and do a bunch of fucking hacking. Like, who the fuck is gonna do all that? But anyways, because the way they keep it is separate. But what I'm saying is, What about an app? What about a voting app? I mean, we have our Chase app on our phone, and we trust that to handle our banking. So how come
our most sensitive operations?
What else do we care about more than that? But are we willing to? But whenever I ask people this, they always say no, it's gonna be hacked, it's not safe, da 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 da. But I'm like, if you gotta put your fingerprint, you gotta put your damn social security number or whatever. They have all that. Whenever you log into Social Security office or any government fucking website, they send you through hell and high water to get on that shit. And it's your own shit, and they give you all kinds of hell. So what I'm saying is, you're okay with all of that, the IRS and your Social Security, and but to vote, people feel like online voting or some kind of app, like they're gonna have a problem with it. I think it would be really, really cool and secure. and easy, and you're gonna get way more people voting that way.
Yeah, I honestly, because I used to, being out here on the road, that was one of the things. Like I would vote because I mean, a lot of times when they're having those kind of vote, it's usually a Tuesday. You got, they want you to go vote, and I think that's part of the scam too. It might be a minute part, but I think that's a part of this whole
No,
scam.
that's a big part, and it be during the daytime when you have to work. Sometimes you might have to take off for work to do it, but early voting helps with that because you can hit them on the weekends. And I like the early vote. It's the best. I tell everyone that's the best way. Don't never wait till voting day. It's gonna be a hell.
Yeah, but then the other thing is, like, you should be able to, like you said, with a phone. But my thought was more so, being able to do it from even a laptop or
it's an app.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Like
it would be one app, like some kind of government app or whatever, government sponsor app or whatever, but handled by a middle person, and everybody got to go through that same one to vote. Period. Super simple.
Yeah, I think that's very, very, because I mean, your computer got IP address, like they could track it back to see if it's you.
Because so if you do any cheating or whatever, they're gonna know. It's gonna be easy to track.
Very easy. But I don't know, man. That's wild to me. Tuesdays, nobody, like, you working, you not available. So, and I mean, like I said, I'm a truck driver, so when it's time for me to vote, I might be in Virginia somewhere. But I really wanted to be able to vote, but there's no way I'm gonna make it back to to Texas to make a vote. So, like, even if it was just for truck drivers, they have something set up, because if you link into your state,
they have absentee voting for that for a lot of people. So I bet you probably qualify for that, because even here in Texas we have that absentee voting where it's kind of like you mail in your vote. You just have to make sure it's postmarked before a certain date, and you have to use the right form.
Yeah.
They have it, but the app could probably take a live photo of you while you're voting. A whole nother verification of your identity.
While you bullshitting, your camera can probably give retina scan. Shoot, you could probably even put it because you could do your heartbeat and stuff. Being from your
they can identify you, and it'll be one vote for each person. So once you voted or whatever, that's it. And they could with your phone and your computer, they could definitely identify who you are.
Like if you could probably put your finger on that
on the screen of the camera or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a way that it can be done. It's just I don't think they really want it to be solved like that. Like there's especially
it's because of the access to voting is how they get to one of the ways that they get to manipulate, the agendas. And because people are like, meh, they don't really care. And then if they care a little bit, they'll try to vote. But if the voting ends up being too hard, they already don't care that much. They're giving up. If they make it super, super easy, it's going to be a lot of people voting, and that's not what they want.
Yeah. Shit. I ain't gonna lie, man. It's that time for me. I'm starting.
All right, man. I'm gonna let you go,
bro. To fade out.
I appreciate your time.
Man.
I really do, and I appreciate your mind and your opinions and your thoughts and all of that stuff, man. It helps the show out.
Well, yeah, man.
You becoming part of the show. You becoming part of the show now.
Well, that's cool. Shoot, I mean, it is. I mean, I had these conversations by myself. I'm debating this stuff by myself, so might as well, give some, maybe be able to help somebody else, you know, they can pull from my perspective and maybe they can broaden their own, you know. So, but shoot, whenever you're ready, man, just hit me up. You know, I know you have other guests that come on, so if I can pop up, do something, just try to let me know a little early. You know, give me a heads up.
I try to with everybody.
Yeah.
All right, man. Peace and love.
For sure, bro. I'll holler.
All right.
Peace.
Peace. Yeah, y'all. Yeah, y'all. Yeah, y'all. Yeah, y'all. Oh shit! What's up with my green screen? Let's make this look more official. Oh, wait. Oh. Guess because we've been on with him this whole time. Didn't really matter. Anyways, y'all. I know y'all don't really give a fuck, but let's see. It's a bit better. Maybe turn on these lights. We're finna go into another segment, y'all, because I ain't done. Like I say, I always be trying to keep these videos at least 2 hours, because I'm fighting against the paradigm, you know. And then, like I say, this is podcast style, so y'all just let this play, let this vibe, let this roll in the background while you playing the game, while you know, driving, while you and your honey making love or whatever, you know, y'all got going on. Just let this play in the background. You know what I mean? You know, you're going to learn a lot. Trust me. And you're going to love it. We're going to keep getting better. Keep getting better. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that. And I'm going to talk about this. And sometimes I'm going to be random as hell, you know, just to keep y'all on your toes. But we're going to go into some history stuff. Because, I don't know, let's do Haiti first, because, you know, I got a love, heart for Haiti, heart Haiti, you know, and I did some stuff on Haiti in the past, but those videos are not nearly as good as the ones that I do now. And also, you know, I did a video giving like the history of Haiti and kind of explaining how it's in the position that it's in right now in the world. And a lot of people really just don't understand it, because they're like, poor Haiti, poor Haiti. But they don't really understand, you know. And it's like, it really burns me up that people don't get it and don't understand. So that's why I'm probably going to write a book too. I'm going to keep talking about Haiti forever until y'all get it. So anyways, this video right here sums up, I did a whole freaking 3 hour, I think, rant about Haiti, and they're going to sum it up in about 6 minutes. Check it out.
Mention Haiti, and this is what you'll likely hear.
Poverty, natural disaster, now political violence.
Every report about Haiti has to include the line that it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere.
But hold on for a second. Something's missing in this conversation, right?
We need to be all thinking about the relationship of what we're calling poverty in Haiti and the relation to the richness of the rest of the world. And how did the rest of the world get so rich?
Let's start with France. Imagine if you were enslaved, and after fighting for your independence, you were forced to spend the next couple of generations paying compensation to those who colonized you.
Reparations for slaveholders is a new one for me.
That is exactly what happened to Haiti.
This is punishment for their unwillingness to remain under the yoke of slavery.
In 1697, France and Spain ended a war with each other by dividing up the Spanish colony Hispaniola. Through the labor of enslaved indigenous and black people, Saint-Domingue became the world's most profitable colony, exporting sugar, coffee, and indigo.
Enslaved people in Saint-Domingue suffered some of the harshest and cruelest slave punishments in the entire Atlantic world. Life expectancy was extremely low, such that at the moment of the Haitian Revolution breaking out in August of 1791, the vast majority of enslaved people had only been on the island for 2 or 3 years. They were from whatever nation that they had been captive and brought over, and they basically said no.
Self-liberated Africans led the Haitian Revolution and ended slavery in present-day Haiti and the Dominican Republic. After 12 years of fighting the French colonial power, which had tried to reintroduce slavery, the formerly enslaved people of Saint-Domingue officially declared their independence and renamed their country Haiti. Many countries, including the United States, refused to recognize Haitian independence in fear of slave rebellions. And France refused to accept Haiti's independence unless Haiti paid 150 million francs as so-called compensation for lost revenues from slavery. That was around 10 times Haiti's annual budget. But Haiti couldn't decline the indemnity request since the French came ready for war, carrying more than 500 cannons on their ships. Articles from that period show that the French king knew the Haitian government wouldn't be able to repay the debt, which decimated Haiti's economy. Haitians had extremely high taxes, and most of the tax revenue was paid for the indemnity. This left the education system, public infrastructures, and healthcare underdeveloped. Agricultural land was also depleted to grow cash crops that paid for the debt but couldn't feed the country. It took Haiti 122 years to pay off its debt and required taking high-interest loans.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy to say that Haiti is poor and Haiti must be poor. And I think the better question whenever a people, an entire people, is characterized as poor with this word is to say, not why are they poor, but why aren't you?
But it's not just the French who have played a role in Haiti's misery.
So the United States has intervened in Haitian affairs quite a lot.
President Moïse's assassination in 2021 left some Haitian officials calling for U.S. intervention. But not everyone agrees.
The only way that that could ever even have a fruitful outcome would be if it was because they were in dialogue with the Haitian people for the first time, because that is not what usually happens. That's not what happens at all. They dialogue with the people claiming power, and some negotiation is struck between those vying for power and the United States government. There's a lot of people saying, no, we don't want the United States to come and intervene again, because this is, again, a repetition of history.
The history that Professor Doubt is talking about involves the United States' 19-year occupation of Haiti, an occupation that killed thousands of Haitians. Following the assassination of Haiti's president in 1915, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson's administration invaded Haiti to protect U.S. investments. Then, they forced the election of a new Haitian president who would protect American interests in the country. Racist and fear-mongering rhetoric was used to justify the move. The occupation ensured that the U.S. prioritized its own interests in Haiti over what was best for Haitians. The U.S. occupation ended in 1934 after local dissent and rebellion grew too costly for the U.S. to control. But even after the occupation, the United States continued to play a role in the internal affairs of Haiti. In 1957, the U.S. government threw its support behind a Haitian dictator, François Duvalier. Duvalier and his successor, aka his son Jean-Claude, ate up aid from the United States in exchange for their strong anti-communist stand at the height of the Cold War. Haitian uprisings ended Duvalier Jr.'s rule and led to Haiti choosing its democratically elected leader, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, in 1990. But within a year, Aristide's government was toppled by a coup. Not only was one of the leaders of the coup on the CIA's payroll, but the US had set up and funded the Haitian military and National Intelligence Service, which both played key roles in the coup. Ousted Aristide returned to his second presidency in 2001, and again was forced out of office by a coup that he claimed the US had orchestrated. And after that, President Obama's cabinet pressured a Haitian presidential candidate to withdraw in 2010.
We see reports coming out of various civil society organizations saying that Haitians have lost faith in the electoral process because it doesn't reflect their actual concerns.
And that brought us to the 2016 Haitian presidential election, where late President Moïse was elected with an extremely low voter turnout, but US backing. In February 2021, Moïse refused to step down at the end of his term. The US once again backed him while thousands of Haitian protesters took to the streets.
Many Haitians are saying, we want to try actual Haitian democracy, where the Haitian people, not just the elite and the bourgeoisie and the business interests, get to have a say and determine the direction and future of the country.
It's clear that Haiti's poverty and political instability has long been influenced and shaped by foreign players. So, knowing this, where does Haiti go from here?
We have never been able to see what could happen in this particular Black country without meddling and interference. We should try something new in the United States, and that is back off and back away and let the Haitian people determine their own future.
y'all think about that? Overall thing I get out of that is leave them the F alone, right? Leave them the F alone. Leave people the F alone. They keep messing with Afghanistan, messing with Haiti now, you know, over the years, and just leave them alone, bro. Maybe they'll be all right if y'all leave them alone. Maybe they'll get their shit together if y'all keep fucking with them. Damn. One thing about that story too that sticks out to me is that it sounds really familiar. When they talked about the historical events related to coups and installing presidents and so forth and so on. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Another thing they said was ate up aid. It was talking about the presidents, the former presidents of Haiti, that they ate up aid, like literally ate it, all chubby and fat. They were sending food for the people that the president was like, fuck that, man. I'm hungry. Shit. Oh, that's funny to me. I'm sorry, y'all, but the whole thing is not funny. But I hope y'all learned a lot. That was a 6-minute segment, bruh. And man, that went over like a whole bunch of shit that you're not gonna learn in school. You're not gonna hear that shit in school. Take that shit in, bro. I'm telling y'all gotta know more than your friends, bro. And when conversations and things come up, you're armed. I had a teacher when I was in elementary. He said, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. And he said that shit all the time, over and over, and whatever the fuck, it stayed in my mind. And it's like that. So you know more shit, so you're able to, you know, protect yourself, and you're also able to attack. And you're also able to build and create. I know it's tough, man, but it's hard. It's hard work to really make something happen. Let's keep it moving.
In a previous video, I talked about what I consider the top 10 lies told about Africa. The biggest being the disingenuous idea that black people sold black people into slavery. I frequently speak about this oversimplification, as we cannot apply 21st century Pan-African concepts to 17th or 18th century peoples. The overwhelming majority of African people back then identified in full with their own culture and linguistic group, and not skin color or even phenotype. So what's been implied by that statement is ahistorical at best. But this lie about African people is only a subgroup of an even bigger lie, one of the first lies ever told about our ancestors. What up, African world? It's Home Team here, and welcome back to another video of African history, culture, and worldview. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you're helping in the creation of these videos and supporting this content. If you'd like access to full courses and sources, or you simply want to show your support, you may do so by clicking the Patreon link in the description box below. Before we get into the greatest lie ever told about Africans, let's not forget some of the more well-known ones. The Dark Continent trope really became one of the most popular lies told about African people. The idea was that Africans were backward savages with no civilization, with the exception of Egypt, which they consistently place outside the sphere of African cultural achievement. Civilizations like ancient Ghana in West Africa weren't privy to much observation, despite it being known for its vast wealth and powerful military, which Muslim writers wrote about. Archaeological reports highlight ancient stone settlements that are believed to be a precursor to Sudanic civilization in the region, not to mention the art of the Yoruba people, who single-handedly forced the world to acknowledge African ingenuity and intelligence, as some try to assign the development of such works to ancient European travelers. There's just too much to ignore when it comes to African civilization. The Dark Continent trope doesn't have any ground to stand on when we consider ancient Meroitic civilization and the great Kushite rulers who started what some scholars call the African Renaissance, which was perhaps the first Renaissance in human history. And let's not forget the largest stone structures south of the Sahara. Great Zimbabwe is just one of many stone structures in the southern African region, revealing the glorious era of Shona civilization. Another lie that consistently makes its rounds in our Western consciousness is that Africans had no writing systems and that they relied on oral communication. Africans used diverse methods to communicate. oral transmission simply being one of them. One of the more popular writing forms in West Africa is called Nsibidi, believed to have originated amongst the Ikoi people of Nigeria. This writing form is largely viewed as ideographic or pictographic, conveying messages through symbols. It's interesting that many writing forms in Africa were originally invented for a specific class of people and not intended for public dissemination. For example, Egyptian hieroglyphs were originally only known amongst the priesthood. This is also true for the secret writing form of the Songhai people, who use ideograms to communicate amongst a secret society or religious group. Interestingly enough, this writing form was only revealed to the public in 2010 by a Songhai scholar named Hassimi Maiga. When dealing with African scripts, we can point to the Meroitic script of the Kushites, which to this day has not been fully deciphered. And that's really disappointing, as it would have been incredible to decipher Queen Amanirenas' stela concerning her triumphant interaction with the Romans, in which her primary objectives were met in a treaty. Even Southern Africa has some hidden gems when it comes to writing forms. João de Barros, a distinguished Portuguese analyst of the mid-16th century, upon his visit to Zimbabwe, wrote a very important description concerning the discovery of a writing form in one of the vassal kingdoms of the Mwene-Mutapa Empire, called Batua. De Barros writes, "Over the gate of the building is an inscription, which neither the Moorish traders who were there, nor others learned in inscriptions could read, nor does anyone know in what character it is written." We really don't know what João de Barros saw, but from his perspective, it seems clear that he viewed what he saw as a sort of writing form which was indigenous to the region. Not even the Swahili traders that accompanied him could decipher it. Unfortunately, we really never hear about this again. Anyway, all this babbling I'm doing is for a reason. The lies told about Africa are many, and I really want us to understand the full scope of it and how grossly inaccurate they are. What may have started out as innocent quickly turned into an agenda that we have yet to undo. But by far, the greatest lie told about Africa has nothing to do with civilization, writing, or any of that. The greatest lie told about Africa actually came from a religious idea. And as we all know, religion has been one of the most powerful forces in human history. It's no wonder that this particular lie affected African people so greatly. It's nearly impossible to ignore the Abrahamic religions when speaking about Afro-descended people, because these religions are a big part of our history, whether we like to admit it or not. They greatly influenced our spiritual paradigms and worldviews. This lie, originating amongst the Abrahamic religions, as many of us know, is called the Curse of Ham. I don't want to distract with theological history or debate, but in short, the Curse of Ham is a misnomer because the curse was really bestowed upon Canaan. Jewish scholars believe that Ham was the ancestor of all black or African people, and this idea was adopted by Arabs, and then it was strategically broadened by Europeans to justify the enslavement and demonization of African people. This is the greatest lie that has been told to our people, because it didn't just have physical and psychological repercussions, it also added a spiritual component, because some people within our community actually believe that it's true. And in our attempts at lifting this curse through achievement, acceptance, or spirituality, we turned into concerned, aimless wanderers, heightening confusion and self-hate within our community. It's one of the most powerful invisible enemies we have as Afro-descended people, one that cannot be tangibly debunked. And although the belief in it has diminished greatly, the residuals may still be felt, because no matter our spiritual beliefs today, many of us were raised with this dark paradigm, and so I think it's important for us to speak on it, especially so that we won't pass this baggage on to the next generation. Anyway guys, I'm all out. Do you think this is the greatest lie that's ever been told about African people? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like these videos and want to help in its continued production, consider supporting the home team on patreon.com. The link is in the description box below. Know thyself. Remember your ancestors. Peace.
What y'all think about that? I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about a lot of stuff, bro. It should be just really common sense, kind of, you know. One of the things that stood out from the video to me was when he talked about the writings being for a specific class of people. And historically, that has been the case, and it's still the case now. And the thing is, you know, what a lot of people don't understand is, like, if you go, like, let's just say Africa, country in Africa, and then you go somewhere over there and you're speaking a certain language, they're going to treat you totally different. They're going to be like, and it's like that, like the Haitians, like that's a good example right there. The Haitians, the language that they speak, it's like a Creole, right? Broken French, patois, whatever you want to call it. And anyway, so the thing is, when you speak a language like that, then people are going to be like, no, I can't fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? You're the devil. You're evil. You know? So that's a real thing. That's a real thing. That's a real thing, you know? So, like I say, specific class of people and certain knowledge for certain people, and like the hieroglyphics, you know, giving knowledge to the priests. But then, you know, another thing about the video that stuck out to me is then, you know, they ask you, you know, well, I'll ask you, you know, do you feel like you're cursed? Because if you believe in that story, that the interpretation of Ham and black people, then that's what you're thinking fundamentally. So then how are you gonna ever? That's why niggas be wilding out here. That's why niggas be acting an ass, because they feel like they damned, they ain't shit, and they're cursed, and no matter what they do, they're gonna be fucked. But if you believe that, then what's the point in doing anything, you know? So think about it, you know, think about the psychological effect that thinking that way has. So black people, y'all need to let that go. That whole Children of Ham shit, let that shit go. That was put in your head to fuck with you. Said to make you think that you're cursed. You're not cursed, you're blessed. And I don't even like blessed. Y'all know that means bleed. Learn your freaking and then that I'll pray for you. Anyways, I'm gonna have to do a whole class for y'all to understand what I'm talking about. Earlier in the last video, I meant to play the Jimmy Dore. I was rewatching my video and I realized that I didn't play the Jimmy Dore clip, Fox News clip, and I mentioned it a few times in the video and I still didn't play it. So I want to play that now, even though I'm kind of moving on from Afghanistan, but this is related to Afghanistan. Let's go.
Why didn't we know this was going to happen? And the people who train the Afghan military, where are they tonight? Jimmy Dore is the host of the Jimmy Dore Show. He joins us. Thank you, Jimmy Dore, for coming on tonight. You got to wonder, 20 years of training the Afghan military by the Pentagon, you know, what did they do with all that time and all that money?
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting. I mean, if we just imagine if we weren't in Afghanistan for the last 20 years, the Middle East might be unstable. So, I mean, you remember Trump tried to pull. By the way, this war is bipartisan, right? As right. All wars are. They're very bipartisan right now. The military-industrial complex has a stranglehold on both parties. So Trump was trying to pull us out of this war because it turns out you can't just invade other people's countries, set up a Starbucks and a McDonald's and think they're going to be just like us. We've had fathers and sons, and pretty soon we're going to have grandsons fighting in Afghanistan. So it's a nice way for Americans to make multi-generational memories, I guess. But what happened when Trump tried to pull out, if you remember, Congressman Crowley and Liz Cheney got together, bipartisan, and they put a stop, and they said Trump wouldn't be able to pull out unless he met these certain criteria, which we'll never meet. So they made sure the president, the commander-in-chief, could not pull us out of Afghanistan. But now here is Joe Biden, who claims he's going to pull us out of Afghanistan. First of all, as soon as he announced it, he started ramping up the bombing. I don't know if you know that. He bombed Shaheed Anwar Khan High School and a health clinic that killed 20 people, a lot of them women women and children. So he's ramping up the bombings as he's saying we're pulling out. And I don't know what that is, if that's dementia or what, but that's the guy who's ordering the strikes. That's happening right now. They increased the military budget. So why is Joe Biden being allowed to pull out of Afghanistan? Well, because he's agreed to start bombing in Somalia. I don't know if you know that's happening. Joe Biden is now bombing the poorest people in Africa. Like 40% of the country are nomads. And Joe Biden is now bombing Somalia. So that, and now he's occupying a third of Syria right now. So he's just switching his imperialism. And I really appreciate you giving me a chance to talk about this, because they'll never stand up against imperialism at CNN or MSNBC or anywhere else. So I just want to say thanks for that. And what we need right now is a real anti-war movement to rise up in America to stop these wars. They gave Joe Biden an extra $25 billion to do war. I thought we're getting out of Afghanistan. Why does it need an extra $25 billion? And let's remember how much $25 billion is. $20 billion, they say, could end homelessness. So we just don't have the political will. Every pothole those $25 billion worth of bombs make in another country is a pothole that's not getting fixed in America. We can bomb everywhere in America, but we can't feed our own people. I live in a democratically controlled state that's got a Democratic governor, and we've got people living under every bridge in California. How about we start spending some of that money back here at home?
I agree with you 100%. Jimmy Dore, great to see you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, shit. I made it. Sorry about that, but you guys. Technical difficulties. Stand by. Well, so if y'all don't understand the whole thing with Afghanistan and how it fits in the big picture of things, I don't know what to tell you. You know, like I said, I'm probably going to move on from Afghanistan. Everybody keep covering that shit. It is what it is, man. We shouldn't even be over there in the first place, dabbling and trying to control other people and tell them what the hell to do. We got a lot of shit going on right here in the United States that we're not taking care of well, like the pandemic, like our healthcare system. Like, it seems like it's a race riot finna take off. Like, you got people storming the Capitol and trying to take over the government. You know, shall I go on? The water shortage, drought. Anywho, I'm going to move on because I don't want to end this video. We're just at 2 hours and I got a bunch of random ass shit. Sager was going in about Don Lemon, but I don't remember what that was about. I don't even remember why I put that on there. Ooh, let's play this. I don't think I played this for y'all.
There's something rotten in Denmark.
Fox News host Trish Regan has made a story in which she compares Denmark to Venezuela.
Denmark, like Venezuela, has stripped people of their opportunities.
Okay, let's just clarify a few things. Trish, you're wrong. You can't compare Denmark to Venezuela. We have a welfare state in our country. This means that our society provides opportunity for people. It doesn't strip people of possibilities in their life.
And no one wants to work. This is a real problem.
This is not true. According to the OECD, Denmark rates 11 places higher than the US unemployment rate. The difference, of course, being that in Denmark, people are paid a decent wage.
School's free. University's free. That's lovely.
Actually, it is.
But you see, not only is school free, they actually pay you. Not bad, eh?
That is not bad. That means that it's not the size of your parents' bank account that decides whether or not you get an education. It's your hard work, it's your talent, it's your motivation.
Well, you know what happens then? Nobody graduates from school, they just stay in school.
Of course, people graduate. According to World Economic Forum, on a list of the best educated populations, we rank number 6. Quite a bit better than the US. Sorry.
Nowadays, all the kids graduating from school in Denmark, they want to start cupcake cafes.
I wish that was correct because I love cupcakes. Unfortunately, it's not. It could be though, because according to Forbes' list over countries with best opportunities for businesses, Denmark rates far better than the US. So Trish, pretty much everything you said is untrue, or as your beloved president would put it,
you are fake news.
That was kind of mean how they used Trump back on us. Mean, they're so mean. That's mean. I always say, if you really want to understand what's going on, you want to compare the United States, the way we do one specific thing, and then compare it to the way they do that thing in other countries. And that'll give you a really good idea of how, efficient we are at doing that thing. And then you can go down the list and keep on looking at different stuff. And if you do that, I'm telling you, bro, that's going to be very, 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 very revealing. So that was just one example of, some things that this particular country does much better than us. And in the news, America, we're the greatest country in the world and we're the greatest at everything. Like, I don't know about that. We're really good at exporting, I think it's wheat, corn, something like that. Oats, whatever the hell that is. We're really good at making bullets and guns. We're really good at conquering or providing contractors for militaries and equipment. We're really good at extracting resources from places around the world for private companies. I mean, I'm gonna stop. These are the things that we are good at. The other stuff that y'all be saying that we're good at, I don't know. So it's like, how do you what parameters do you decide on to use to consider that the United States is the greatest country in the world? And I'm a citizen of the United States. I'm born and raised here, America. But for us to improve, we're going to have to face reality about the things that we're not good at. And since we're talking about how, we have an anti-socialist type of attitude on everything. And I say that's because they want private owners of everything so they can hoard all the resources and income. So, segue.
Across the country, worker-owned businesses are driven to meet the needs of their communities.
1/3 of households across the country are struggling to afford the amount and quality of food they would like. The pandemic has emphasized the issue of food insecurity and racial disparity in the U.S.
The communities hardest hit by COVID-19 have historically been denied access to healthy food.
In Black and brown communities, South and West Side communities in Chicago, already a number of these communities face food insecurity, like 88% of households already have food insecurity.
An issue the pandemic amplified.
Food insecurity has gone up 50% above what it already was.
The worker-run cooperative Shy Fresh Kitchen launched as the pandemic hit to provide healthy meals to the community and to support food sovereignty, which aims to guarantee access to culturally appropriate, healthy, and sustainable food.
Got good stuff today. We got collard greens with smoked turkey meat, as well as fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, broccoli, and our chef's specialty pizza. It's a vegetarian pizza that everybody loves. And before, I was in a transitional home, and when COVID-19 hit, it was a struggle to get any type of meal, because we wasn't allowed to go outside, and the stuff that they was bringing was horrible. So, when this opportunity, it just all clicked in together for my life, journey to be able to do this at a time like that.
Shy Fresh Kitchen is owned and run by formerly incarcerated women of color.
I've been knowing all of the co-workers from our incarceration. I already knew all of them. To me, what makes a co-op special is we designed our own job. We work as well as own this company, and we designed it to what would work for us, what would make it not feel like a job when we come into this environment.
They're like a powerful and fun and deeply loving crew that have turned our little project or idea into a business that is rooted in all of our deepest values, our values of liberation, of of humanity and centering the needs of folks in our community.
Co-ops can be limited by their consensus-based decision-making, a tool of democratic governance that is alien to many workers in the U.S. and can be difficult to learn.
We are not trained to make decisions in large groups efficiently and respectfully. We are often trained either to give orders or to receive them, and not to collectively move things forward.
Like most co-ops, Shy Fresh receives little or no support from government agencies. They have been able to access capital by receiving several grants, overcoming a challenge all cooperatives face. But they still struggle to secure large contracts that would allow them to scale up.
We are trying to be competitive bidder on different contracts that are coming out. We are minority and women-owned certified at the county level, which works at both the state and the city level too. Absolutely, we could have more support. We could have support with resources, navigating a lot of, it would be great to have someone to help me navigate the RFP process and to have folks reaching out to us specifically as a business that is creating community wealth, that is having a positive impact on our own communities. If the city had resources and outreach specifically available to us, that would be really powerful.
The challenges facing disinvested communities are immense and won't be solved by co-ops alone. But Renee Hatcher argues they can be part of the solution.
I think the Shy Fresh is a really beautiful example of some of what we should be thinking about around the move for abolition, in creating a new and different type of economy that is not exploitative, but also really trying to deal with all of the harm that the carceral state has inflicted specifically on Black communities.
What y'all think about that? A lot of people say that's not for everybody. Okay, yeah, it's not for everybody. Exactly. Everything ain't for everybody. I think that's really good for the people that would be really good for. Why would you hate on it? What problem do you have with it? You don't have to work there. I don't know. I guess I'm getting emotional. That video kind of got me emotional because people don't care, but hey, they getting out of prison. They don't have nowhere to go, man. This is some good shit for them, bro. How the hell can you hate on that?
And the two forms of social control are the police, militarized police, that function as de facto armies of occupation, and of course the prison system itself. We hear more from the dispossessed and disenfranchised white working class, those people who supported Trump, and I think that's because the draconian forms of social control have not been as effective against the white working class. That's number one. And number two, James Baldwin writes about this. There is always a feeling, if you're a white American, that the American dream is a possibility. Baldwin actually writes about how African Americans don't have the same kind of midlife crisis that white, in particular white male Americans have, because they never believed that, they always knew that dream was a fiction. And I think that's why you have perhaps or most of the suicides that are carried out in the United States are carried out by middle-aged white men in their 40s and 50s, who've realized that they've been discarded, that American myth, that American dream is a lie. Now, the consequences of this reconfiguration of wealth and the dispossession of the American working class are social, cultural, political, and psychological. In my last book, America, the Farewell Tour, I started as kind of my foundation with Émile Durkheim, the great French sociologist. Durkheim had explored suicide. This was a book he wrote, I think it was 1898. But he asked the question, what is it that drives individuals and societies to carry out either singular or collective acts of self-annihilation. And he targeted, this is where you get the term anomie, but he targeted the rupture of social bonds, those bonds that integrate you into the society, which are not just about work, but work is important. And John Paul II actually wrote a very fine encyclical about the importance of work and how work is not just about exchanging labor for a wage, but about a dignity, about a sense of place, about a sense of meaning. And John Paul even argues that it's about the cohesiveness of family, because it's about the ability for a family as a unit to live and to sustain itself in a society. And all of that goes with deindustrialization. So I think the reason we see such a strong kind of crypto-fascist movement, which was first embodied, by the way, in the Christian right. It was before Trump, and about a decade ago, and I graduated from seminary. About a decade ago, I wrote a book called American Fascist, the Christian Right and the War in America. And I didn't use the word fascist lightly. In fact, when I finished the book, I spent several hours with, at the time, probably our country's two greatest scholars on fascism, Fritz Stern, who had taught at Columbia and had fled Germany as a refugee in the 1930s as a teenager, and Robert Paxton, who wrote the book, The Anatomy of Fascism. Stern wrote the classic book, The Culture of Despair. I remember Stern telling me that in Germany there was a yearning for fascism before the word fascism was invented. And I think that all of that embodies the Christian right, which upends the core message of the Christian gospel. It's about material, the acquisition of material wealth and power. That's an anathema to the gospel. It acculturates or sacralizes the worst aspects of American imperialism, capitalism, and white supremacy. I mean, the whole notion that America is anointed to bring about the kingdom of God, and that the white race is somehow lifted up above other races, is paralleled in the so-called German Christian church.
Dun, dun, dun. Mouthful, right? Heavy, heavy, heavy. I don't know if y'all was listening. Y'all probably wasn't. What I got from it, one of the things that stuck out to me was self-annihilation. It's like self-destruction. And he was talking about the suicides and middle-aged men. And he was saying middle-aged white men, but I don't think it's just them. And, you know, a lot of us believe in the American dream, being able to actually make it, you know, and then we get older and we're like, what the fuck happened? I must suck. It must be me, because everything that it says blame the individual. The way the system is designed, it's like everyone is like, well, you must have did something wrong. You must have did something wrong. That guy was successful. He did it. What's wrong with you? And it's so sad, because then that denies the reality of the system, the way it's set up to not make people successful. And that takes my breath away. Another thing he said was he talked about dignity, meaning, family. And I was talking about this one time in a meeting when I first got hired in a job. And I was like, it's to most of us, how much we're getting paid is not as important as some other factors or whatever. I don't remember how I said it, but I know I sounded Looney Tunes to everyone. Like, this dude is freaking crazy. But, you know, if you really think about it, because a lot of us have our identity wrapped up in our job. But not only that, it's like, if you really think about it, you know, how much you're getting paid is important, but how you're able to build your life around your job is more important. How you feel when you go to work is more important. How your boss treats you and stuff like that. All that shit is more important. Don't fucking lie to yourself. Yeah, so depending on how much you're getting paid, you're willing to accept more or deal with more. but it's still the same thing, you know. Like I say, you know, we are lying to ourselves when we say that, you know, the most important part about the job is how much we're getting paid, because it's not. And I want y'all to face reality with that, and just at the very least, just take a step back and think about, you know, why did you just choose your job, you know, and think about how many of the factors went into you choosing that job, and think about like a triage. Do a triage of the factors of the reasons why you chose that job, and put pay as one of the factors, right? And add in your other factors, and then play with it, and be honest with yourself and do a triage. And I guarantee y'all it's going to be something higher than pay on that list. Call me crazy.
The Biden administration did their very first drone strike in Somalia last week, and this week they sentenced their very first whistleblower, Daniel Hale, an Air Force vet who leaked the documents from the drone assassination program. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're finally back. So I'm still waiting for the building and the better part of Biden's slogan. I assume they're going to build a better missile with a whistleblower inside to drop on an unsuspecting village of shepherds. 2 birds, 1 drone. Daniel Hale received 45 months in prison for leaking documents in 2014 that were printed in The Intercept in 2015. And revealed the assassination program was not really targeted and not really a success. Hale worked with the Joint Special Operations Task Force at Bagram Air Base between 2009 and 2013. The documents show that in Afghanistan in that period, during one 5-month period of the operation, according to the documents, nearly 90% of the people killed in airstrikes were not the intended targets. It sounds like we're killing willy-nilly, but the Joint Chiefs of Staff insisted it's just nilly. Though the leaks occurred under Obama, Hale wasn't indicted curiously until 2019 under Trump. Perhaps the delay was because the case would bring more attention to the secretive program that Obama was shown to head in the leaks at the top of the chain of command, also known as the kill chain. Clearly, he approved the sloppy assassinations using baseball cards with the suspect's information. Baseball cards. They're trying to bore us into not thinking about the drone program. I mean, what is this? 9 innings of the authorization to use military force? Umpire to POTUS? You know what? Never mind. Hale said drone strikes required an enormous amount of faith in the technology you're using. There's countless instances where I've come across intelligence that was faulty. Intelligence based on mobile phones is never perfect because, as we know, phones can be borrowed, bought, stolen, or found or dropped in a toilet, as I did this weekend. 1 minute, you get lucky by finding a new iPhone in a urinal. The next, you find out you're on a terror watch list. According to the military, everyone killed by one of these drones was an enemy killed in action. Maybe not at the time of their killing, but the military could tell that they might end up becoming enemies one day by being radicalized by drone strikes. Time is non-linear. An enemy's an enemy. The murder of people like a Yemeni imam, Salim bin Ahmed Ali Jabbar, a vocal opponent of al-Qaeda, set off a wave of protests in Yemen. So now, we can be sure we killed the wrong guy. We can't count on the military to even count the civilians. We have to depend on independent researchers and investigative journalists. Conservative public tallies of civilians killed by the U.S. during 2020 are almost 5 times higher than the DoD admits. Our beloved Biden administration pushed for a harsher sentence of 9 years for Hale and aggressively pursued the charges through the Espionage Act, a law which, since its inception, has been utilized to crush dissent and unflattering leaks like those from Daniel Ellsberg, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, and John Kiriakou, the former CIA agent who was the only person to serve time for the CIA's torture program. The Espionage Act has rarely been used to try actual spies. Its true use is for when someone embarrasses the U.S. government. Maybe we should just call it the "we just got punked" act. It's clear that Biden will continue to wage the war on journalism initiated by Bush, exacerbated by Obama, and perfected by Trump. No wonder when anything barely comprehensible comes out of Biden's mouth, news anchors are like, yeah, I know what you mean by scientists agree that kid vaccine can tightrope elephant eggplant rollatini, Mr. President, especially the eggplant rollatini part. Just please don't follow my children home from school. Journalists tried under the Espionage Act face an uphill battle in court and are gagged from stating their true motives. And defense attorneys are barred from uttering the words whistleblower or First Amendment within earshot of the jury. It's like a fucked up game of taboo. The defense's speech is so limited, they have to end up sounding like the prosecution. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this spy clearly helped our enemies in action by spilling the beans to a blogger. But he also loves his cat. Hale was unable to defend himself with his good motives to the jury, so the prosecutor actually characterized his actions as a heroin dealer who admitted that he violated the law by distributing heroin, but simultaneously asserted that by distributing the heroin, he was helping society rather than harming it. This is not a good analogy. If I got heroin that was helping me with my life and society at large, I'd be like, this is bad heroin. Wait a second. Is this acid? Right now, we're witnessing an overclassification of national security information. Whether or not these were important secrets rather than just unflattering information is also a question that won't be addressed in court. Shrouded in secrecy, Biden's drone program is going to intensify as we pull out of Afghanistan, and the two prior presidents built a system of unflinching cruelty. Biden has even lowered the bar for military force, even lower than Trump. Airstrikes were launched even when no American personnel were killed or injured in Iraq and Syria. A bar lower than Trump. But as long as we don't speak up on behalf of the whistleblowers, they'll be punished for revealing how low that bar actually is. The Biden administration did their very
Y'all hear that shit? That was a lot. And I'm scared to even talk about some of that shit. So, but how like how the U.S. seems to attack whistleblowers. They seem to like the crimes that be committed. They don't be all that interested in, persecuting the people who did the crimes, but they super be interested in the person who revealed that these crimes were committed. There's a reoccurring theme along those lines. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And another thing I'll say is that the military-industrial complex, they don't care who's the president. Trump, Biden, Obama. That's how you know that those presidents are not really running the show. It's some other people. Y'all have to understand, man, like, let's just say Congress. The Congress people be in there for 6 years, the state senator ones. And so they are in there for 6 years, and then they go for re-election, and they usually win again by the incumbents tend to win. That's just the way it goes. So 6 years turns into 12, turns into 24, turns into 48 years, and a lot of them have been in there that long. The same thing with the officials who run like the military, as far as like generals and whatnot. Those guys don't change over. Like the president changes over every 4 years. Those guys who's running like the military, those generals, those are the same generals that's been generals since generals were generals. I hope y'all understand that. And that's also the same with, like, let's say the State Department, intelligence agencies, think tanks, CIA, NSA. Those are the same people, okay? The same people that was in charge back when Nixon was president is probably the same people that's in charge right now today. How many presidents then went by since then? I need you guys to think about these things, okay? And realize the reality that the president, that it does matter But these people who are in power for much longer periods of time, their agendas matter a lot more. The president is just temporary, and he's just like, he got a certain amount of power. I really feel like Trump was really trying to push against the state, because they did not like him, and he was stirring shit up. And this whole Afghanistan mess is a mess probably made by Trump in a way, because he the one who really said, let's go, we got to get the hell out of here for real, what the hell. And he the one that said, we're getting out, fuck it. And now it just so happened that it's happening while Biden is the president. They thought that Trump was going to be in there for some more time, and he would have been able to get the benefits from this happening. But it didn't work out that way, and just happening under Biden. But Trump is the one who really wanted to make it happen. He was pushing against the state. The state did not want this to happen. And as you can see, the state runs the media clearly, and y'all be talking about fake news. Well, fake news, all of it is coming from the prison industrial complex. That's the fake news. They're the ones who's pushing this shit, and they want to make y'all get all emotional so we can go back into war, and they can make some more money off of dropping bombs and shit. But I bet you it's gonna work. Ain't nobody watching this. I didn't even mean to play that video.
We are like bears in this country, coming out of a hibernation, about 70 years of it. Since 1945, when everything changed from a society in which socialists, communists, Marxists occupied all the normal positions in society as teachers and workers and bureaucrats and unionists, when we had a New Deal that celebrated many of the objectives socialists have always supported. Across the United States had a big picture over the wall, the clerk's office where you bought stamps. And there was Uncle Sam with his hat, arm in arm with Uncle Joe, which stood for Joseph Stalin. After that, there was, not so surprisingly, a terrible reaction. The business community and the right wing in America was horrified that for the 1930s, we had had a program of raising taxes on corporations and the rich in order to fund the creation, for the first time in American history, of Social Security, unemployment compensation, the first minimum wage, and a public employment project that hired 15 million people. The rich had to pay, and the mass of the Americans got the benefits. This was so horrific, it freaked out the forerunners of the Koch brothers. And then an alliance with the Soviet Union finished off whoever wasn't freaked out already. And so in 1945, everything had to be undone. The New Deal coalition, for those of you who remember your history, socialists, communists, the CIO unions representing tens of millions of American workers, they're the ones that made all that happen. They're the ones that made Roosevelt do all those things. And they had to be defeated, and they were. And the way you break up a coalition is you find the weakest link, or what you can make out to be the weakest link, and suddenly communists and socialists who had been the militants making the 1930s the greatest unionization period in American history. We never had anything like it before. We've never had anything like it since. Communists had to be transformed, and likewise socialists. From the great allies in the war, from the great vanguard of social programs in the 30s, they became agents of a foreign power likely to be interested in strangling your cat. And they had to be driven out of the unions, the 1947 Taft-Hartley, driven out of their teaching jobs, driven out of the consciousness of the American people, who were terrorized about being interested in those things, as they have mostly been in the last 40, 50, 60, 70 years. A personal note. When I went to college as a young person, I was interested in learning about Marxism, and I asked my teachers in the university, what course can I take to learn about Marxism? Half my teachers explained to me there isn't any, nobody here knows anything about it. The other half said, oh, yeah, we know about it, but we're way too scared. We're not going to teach you anything about it. In my undergraduate and my graduate years, and I majored in economics, I'm an economics professor, here's a fact. No one ever in any economics course assigned me one word of Karl Marx. Is that because he had nothing to teach us? Don't be silly. They were just afraid. 75 years of fear. There's nothing smart and nothing excusable in any of that. Oh, and let me mention, since it might be of some interest to you, the 3 schools I attended were Harvard, Stanford, and Yale. And if they don't have the courage, what can you expect from Eastern Kentucky?
For my academics heads, that is heavy, 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 right? What I want to ask y'all is, why don't we have strong unions? We have the police union, and then we have like the coal miners union. I think there's like nurses union. There's a few of them, but we used to have lots of them, and they were strong, and they could push and force for better working conditions and better wages for people. But over the years, they have pretty much outlawed unions. And it's crazy because a lot of jobs I start, and then they ask you to, they give you a waiver, and it says that you're not going to join a union or whatever. But y'all got to know that those waivers, that shit is illegal, really. Like, they can't, just because even if you sign that, you can still go join a union. Don't worry about it. They're just trying to scare you, just so you know. And then when he talks about Marxism, I know a lot of y'all probably don't know anything about that or whatever. I'm not trying to sound condescending because I don't know much about Marxism either, because they don't teach it, just like he just said. And I've learned a lot of shit, and everything is economics. Once you really start studying everything, that's Richard Wolff or whatever, the guy from the video, I watch him a lot, because when you really look at everything, you start realizing that everything is economic. The whole even racial issues, they're really economic. You know, environmental issues, economic. Colonization, economic. Go down the list. Go down the list. Go down the list. Go down the list. Family issues tend to be economic. We can keep going. But anyway, so when they talk about Marxism, though, and then what does it do? It makes me want to learn more about it. It like, make me curious. I'm like, what the hell is this shit that they don't want nobody to fucking know about? And then another thing that stood out from that video was talking about fear and how they control us with fear. Even the academics, even the elites, the people who are supposed to be our leaders, the really smart ones, they use fear to keep them in the box even. Damn. And y'all know they didn't fire him. He quit. What's his name? Goodness, the black guy from Harvard. He has the big gap tooth. He's heavy in the politics. I really know his name, but I suck at names. I'm sorry, y'all. Anyways, I cannot think of his name. But anyways, he quit Harvard, and you know, they wouldn't give him tenure, and he had been there forever, and he's Harvard, Yale professor, and they wouldn't give him tenure, and it was totally racial. But that's economic, right? Because they wouldn't pay him. No, y'all don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Corporate America is also buying up elections. This week, progressive Democrat and former Bernie Sanders surrogate Nina Turner lost her Ohio primary election against Shontel Brown. In that election, the big money Democrats, including the Clinton machine, did everything they could to stop Nina Turner. And they succeeded. Not that big a surprise, right? But I'm actually excited by this. I really am, because I always cheer for the giant big money machine that wins every election. It's so much better that way. If you cheer for the evil juggernaut, you get to celebrate so many more wins. It's awesome. I've had 6 pieces of cake this week. I've done 14 lines of coke off strippers just today. That was unrelated, but still, not only do I only cheer for the big money Democratic establishment whenever I'm at a casino, I root for the House. Yeah, if you do that, you get to celebrate like all the time. I also cheer for Western allied people to win the Nobel Peace Prize. That always seems to go pretty well. And I cheer for the International Criminal Court to prosecute black war criminals, because then I'm winning all the time. If you're cheering for them to go after white war criminals, then you're gonna have a bit of a weight. Yeah, a bit of a weight on your hands. In fact, in 2015, even Western propaganda outlet BBC pointed out in the ICC's 11-year history, it has only brought charges against black Africans. But yeah, I root for all the best teams. I really do. Whenever there are tensions between Israel and Palestine, I root for Israel to kill more people than Palestine. Turns out I always win that one. Whenever there's a protest here in the US, I cheer for the police. They do so well. And in terms of YouTube numbers, I root for CNN and Fox News to get more views than independent media sources. And YouTube always makes sure that happens, so I am always winning. Oh, and in the Olympics, I always root for rich countries over poor countries, because the poor countries don't have hyperbaric, algorithmic, super computer chambers in which to train their groin muscles to be 5 times the size of a car battery. Losers! So most of the time, the people I pull for win. And that's why I'm all about the big, dark money corporate candidates. So exciting, so exciting. This week has been so exciting. This week, Nina Turner lost to the big money machine, but it actually did have an interesting side effect. Wednesday, the People's Party, an actual progressive third party, an actual anti-corporate party, was trending nationally on Twitter. Meaning after everyone across the nation saw corporate money steal Nina Turner's election, they suddenly had an interest in a real anti-corporate party. Fascinating, that is. It's almost like the corporate Dems are making their point for them.
That's for my political heads. I was talking about Nina Turner a lot earlier in some videos, and this one I should have played in some earlier videos. It was kind of left over from a video I did previously, because the Nina Turner thing is kind of old now, but it's still relevant because the big money in politics, and that's what it's all about. The big money candidates tend to win, and the ones that's backed by the state, backed by the establishment, they tend to win. And like I say, incumbents tend to win, and that's just kind of how it goes. I don't know. I do this so that hopefully you guys can become more aware of things. It's killing y'all with information, a whole bunch of stuff, just pouring it on you. I know you're not going to take all of this in, but that's okay. You can watch the video again or whatever, play it back or whatever. It's just kind of like to spark your mind, plant seeds, because some of these channels that I show, the different, videos that I show, maybe you get curious and you want to go look at their stuff, and that's what I hope happens, and that y'all go down your own rabbit holes and look up this stuff. Because like I said, under all of my social media, it says, don't take my word up for it. Look that shit up. And that's how I feel, and that's why sometimes I'll be jumping around, and that's why sometimes I'll give you like an overall kind of view of things, because that'll help you understand the situation, but you still have to go back and look at the details. But it's going to spark your curiosity, because especially if you understand kind of like overall, you're going to understand better than most people anyways. And then it's going to just lead, because it's always becomes evidence. Evidence just starts popping up on everything that you see in the movies. That's why people don't like to watch movies and stuff with me, and I try to be quiet most of the time, but a lot of times I can't help it. But it just jumps at you and shocks you and stabs you in the eye. That's what it do me, stab you in the ear. And I'd be like, look at this. This is totally propaganda. Look what they're trying to say. Da-da-da-da-da-beady-beady. And I know it's annoying. So that's why I do this channel right here. So this is my outlet. I can do it. So I want to annoy. I could do it here for people, hopefully for people who like this stuff. And, you know, and then that way I won't annoy the shit out of everybody. We probably just do a couple more and wrap this. Here's one.
Hi, I'm Clint Smith, and this is Crash Course Black American History. It can sometimes feel like lawyers and legislators are always using the law to give us complicated explanations, loopholes, and messy language that leaves most of us feeling like we have absolutely no idea what's going on. And I mean, this is understandable. First of all, the law can be hard to decipher. Second of all, the law is pretty much only as fair as its application. Additionally, we can see in our day-to-day lives that even though something can be legal, it isn't necessarily fair. Sometimes the law is either designed to be applied in an unjust way or is inherently unjust, especially when those in power have the goal of oppressing and profiting off of others. Despite these realities, the beauty of the law, at its best, is that with the right argument and the right application, injustices can be remedied. And today, we're going to talk about that through the story of Elizabeth Key, a woman who obtained her freedom while navigating a deeply unjust system. I want to note up top that this episode will address some challenging topics, like sexual violence and images of extreme violence. Elizabeth Key was a biracial woman who was born in Warwick County, Virginia in 1630. She was one of a few enslaved people able to gain her freedom through the colonial legal system. Elizabeth Key's mother was black, but Tanya Lavelle Banks, a legal scholar and professor, states that at the time, there was probably no meaningful difference between being labeled a Negro and being labeled a slave. According to society and the courts, those labels were effectively the same, because at that time and place, almost all people of African descent were assumed to be enslaved. Elizabeth's father was a white Englishman named Thomas Key, who arrived in the colony of Virginia in 1616. There is some evidence that Thomas did have some emotional attachment to his daughter. In fact, he attempted to make sure Elizabeth was relatively well provided for, but this didn't come to pass. You see, Elizabeth's parents were unmarried. Not only that, but Thomas Key was legally married to another woman while he was involved with Martha. Due to her complicated status as a black child born out of wedlock and a child born of an enslaved woman, Elizabeth was expected to work as an indentured servant until she was a teenager. Her father made an agreement with a wealthy settler named Humphrey Higginson, who then transferred possession of her to a farmer named John Mottram. She was supposed to be under Higginson's care for 9 years, and that stipulation also transferred to Mottram. Her father, however, died soon after making the initial agreement, and Higginson left for England and just never returned. This left Elizabeth in a vulnerable and uncertain position. She was a teenager of African descent with no advocates. So not only was she bartered into servitude by her own father, the original terms of the agreement also weren't honored. Elizabeth ended up working for John Mottram for 10 additional years, well past the time that had been laid out in the original agreement. In spite of this situation, though, Elizabeth built as much of a life for herself as possible. She started a relationship with a white indentured servant named William Grinstead, and together they had a child named John. When Mottram died in 1655, the heirs of his estate reclassified Elizabeth and her son John, changing them from indentured servants to enslaved people. This was an attempt by the estate to take advantage of the small family and acquire more property by declaring them human chattel. But Elizabeth, she wasn't going to just stand for this. With William Grinstead, her partner turned lawyer, she took this injustice to the court by arguing that Elizabeth was of African ancestry, a woman, and was also considered illegitimate because her parents were unmarried. The Mottram estate argued that Elizabeth was a servant for life and basically already enslaved. But Elizabeth pushed back against this argument. She made 3 points. The first 2 arguments focused on her status within slaveholding Virginia, while the last argument focused on the terms of the agreement between her father, Higginson, and the later transfer to John Mottram. Let's go to the thought bubble. First, Elizabeth emphasized that her father was a white, free man, and that she should be granted her freedom because of her paternal lineage. Second, Elizabeth stressed that she was a baptized Christian and that she could not be enslaved as a result of her Christian faith. This argument may not really resonate with us now, but it was vital in this case because there was some legal debate during this time about whether Christians could, one, enslave other Christians, and more directly, if Christians themselves could be enslaved for life. On the other hand, English indentured servants that sued for their freedom rarely had to address their Christianity or their lineage. They were assumed to be free and Christian solely because, well, they were white. But Elizabeth was forced to address these key points in her case before addressing the unjust enslavement itself. Which brings us to our third argument. Elizabeth's partner and lawyer, William Grinstead, argued that Key should have been free in the first place because the initial agreement said Elizabeth was only supposed to be an indentured servant for a limited amount of time. And that time had passed. Ultimately, these arguments did compel the court to rule in Elizabeth's favor, freeing both her and her son. Thanks, Thought Bubble. So, this story of lawyers, legislators, and the law actually had a happy ending. Elizabeth and her son were freed. She legally married William Grinstead, and they all lived happily ever after. Right? I mean, the other side of this is that Elizabeth lost years of her life because she was subject to a woefully unjust system that was designed to protect the practice of holding human beings as property. And it's clear that a white indentured servant, under similar circumstances, would just not be required to jump through any of those legal hoops. Furthermore, many individuals who were subject to similar injustices during this time actually did not receive their freedom, whether they made it to court or not. The reality is that, put simply, Elizabeth was lucky. And if only lucky people win in the legal system, then how just is the system in the first place? The story of Elizabeth Key is a powerful example of perseverance and accountability, and one that's still worth reflecting on today. It's a compelling and even an inspiring story, one of a woman who fought back against the system that attempted to keep her and her son in chains. And she won. But as inspiring as her story is, it also serves as a reminder that Elizabeth's story is the exception to the rule, that the vast majority of people who found themselves in similar positions to Elizabeth Key were not able to go to court and litigate their way to freedom. Stories like hers are, unfortunately, just very rare. And it's because they are so rare that they remind us of the larger systemic issues that so many Black people faced. People whose names we'll never know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Crash Course is made with the help of all these nice people.
Yeah. You're like, another sad story. Well, actually, it had a happy ending, but earlier, the guy I was talking about was Dr. Cornel West earlier. That's what I was talking about, that didn't get his tenure at Harvard. But again, that goes again with us trying to attach ourselves to basically their institutions. We need to have our own institutions. And I know you'll be talking about the historical Black colleges or whatever, but some of them are good. I don't want to make nobody mad or whatever. I plan on going to TSU for Harvard for the law. The Thurgood Marshall Law School is pretty good. But anyways, we need institutions ourselves, and those great talent like Cornel West, he needs to work for the right institutions that represent us. Super simple, but the best talent gets co-opted all the time because just like the NFL and NBA, they pull the best talent out of the community and pay them very, very well to move out of the community. So I'm just saying, man, if y'all just look at the system overall, you'll start seeing all of these damn, evidence, how it's done. And we talked about the prisons and stuff. And I think that's the reason why they took that video down. So I'm not going to talk about that.
I want to hear your full thoughts on Barack Obama, his election, the way what his role has been in society. And the reason this relates to Simone Biles is because you and others were recalling that he was the one who called the NBA players when they were on strike, when they weren't following the pre-approved script. They were on strike in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter protesters. And Barack Obama, who like barely ever deigns to get his hands dirty in anything, got right on the phone to get them back on the court. Talk a little bit about that and then the way that he was rewarded. But I want to know a little bit more broadly, like how you view the former president and what the ways in which he has used his power.
Yeah, I think the former president is very dangerous to anybody who cares about the progressive left. He's young enough and vain enough. I don't think people understand his narcissism. He will screw up tens of millions of people so that he doesn't look bad. Because you have to understand that he spent 8 years telling people that none of this stuff is possible. So if people start talking about Medicare for all, people start talking about a federal job guarantee, people start talking about legal care for all, people start talking about anything like a UBI, any of these things, if any of it actually gets talked about in public as serious, it makes him look like a do-nothing fraud who took the safe way. And he was a do-nothing fraud. I mean, Barack Obama's biggest political talent is getting Barack Obama elected. He wasn't good for the Democrats. We lost, I want to say 1,000 state legislative seats.
1,000 state legislative seats. We had more, Republicans controlled more legislatures and had the trifecta in more states, lost the House, lost the Senate, and then ultimately hand the presidency to Donald J. Trump. So there you go.
So what that means is he confused so many people about what it means to be a Democrat that we lost 13 governors' mansions. So those are the wages of vacuous politics. He confused so many people about what it means to govern that you get Trump. And that's what you have, a confused nation going to the electorate. You have someone who's actually offering you something in Trump, a wall or whatever, versus like Obama, who just kind of offers you pictures of Obama.
Hey, Irami, what do you think? I'm interested in your answer to this. Like, to some extent, don't you think all politicians who get to that level where they're that successful and they win the presidency, when I think of Obama, when I think of Trump, when I think of Bush, all of them seem to be better at the skill of campaigning and branding and marketing than they were at any sort of governing. So do you think that that's just part and parcel of somebody who wins the presidency? It's like their only talent almost has to be that they're just really persuasive in front of large groups of people?
I mean, so there's this part in Plato's Republic where he talks about the person who kind of on the ship, you're on a ship, you're set at sail, the person who kind of gets to the helm isn't necessarily the person you want to be the captain of the ship. Because the person who you want to be the captain of the ship is concerned with the stars and the wind and where we should go and all that. And the person who's trying to get to the helm is worried about how to get to the helm.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
So there are two different skill sets at play, but I do think you can win by clarifying the fight. I do think you can win. And I think Bernie kind of did this, right? He actually became popular by clarifying what the fight is and not just by making it about him. And that was his whole thing, not me, us. And Barack's whole thing was me.
I ain't gonna lie, that shit is freaking hilarious. And then, a lot of people in the black community, they really fucking worship Barack. And I mean, he loves it too. I ain't gonna lie, his wife is, anyways, before y'all, I blow up my comment section. Anyways, Barack Obama, what did he do for black community? Ask yourself that, other than the image of him, other than him just, being the first black president. If you really think about it, not much. He did a good amount for the LGBTQ community, I say that. He dropped a whole bunch of bombs. Woo! Let me shut up before I get in trouble, y'all.
All around the world, marijuana is being decriminalized or even made legal. But is this really a good idea? In the online debate, the harmful sides are often downplayed, so let's look at the 3 most powerful arguments against legalizing marijuana. Argument number 1. In the last few decades, marijuana has been engineered to become much more potent. Today, marijuana is so potent that it's actually a strong drug that may cause psychosis. The main active ingredient of marijuana is THC, and there's strong evidence that THC is related to psychosis regardless of other risk factors. Marijuana also contains a substance called CBD that seems to counteract this effect. It's even being tested as a treatment against psychosis and anxiety. But because it doesn't make you high, growers have gradually decreased the amount of CBD in marijuana over the last few decades while increasing THC levels. Sample testing showed that THC levels have risen from around 4% in the 1990s to nearly 12% in 2014, shifting the ratio of THC to CBD from 1 to 14 in 1995 to about 1 to 80 in 2014. It's unclear how precise those tests were, however. Overall, recent findings suggest that the more marijuana you consume and the stronger it is, the higher your risk of developing psychosis. But how high is the risk of psychosis for the general population? A study from Britain found that while marijuana use has risen significantly between 1996 and 2005, the number of schizophrenia cases, a type of psychosis, remained stable. The risk of marijuana-induced psychosis remains the highest for people who already have a high risk of psychosis to begin with. For them, it seems more likely that marijuana speeds up the development of their condition rather than causing it, as far as we know right now. So the reasoning goes, if fewer people have access to marijuana, the lower the risk of marijuana-induced psychosis. But actually, you could argue that precisely because marijuana is illegal, more people will end up with psychosis. Prohibition makes illegal drugs stronger and more potent because this way you can ship more product in a smaller space and sell it at a greater profit. This is what happened during the prohibition of alcohol in the US, where hard liquor became the norm. And the same is happening with marijuana now. Imagine a world where liquor is the only alcohol available. You have the choice of either not drinking at all or getting much drunker than you would like to. This is the situation for many marijuana smokers today. People didn't stop drinking during Prohibition, and the numbers show that laws don't deter people from using marijuana. We can't make marijuana go away, but we can make it safer. If marijuana were legal, there would be more options for consumers, and regulators could, for example, insist on a high level of CBD. Just like most people don't drink an after-work bottle of vodka, many people would gladly consume the after-work beer version of marijuana. Argument 2. Marijuana is a gateway drug. If it's legalized, there will be a spike in the use of much more dangerous drugs. A 2015 study found that about 45% of lifelong marijuana users took some other illegal drug at some point. Legalizing marijuana could reinforce this trend. As more young people try legal marijuana, they might end up trying harder drugs. But it turns out that the real gateway to drug use comes much earlier: cigarettes. One study showed that teens who started smoking before the age of 15 were 80% more likely to use illegal drugs than those who didn't. And a 2007 study found that teenagers between 12 and 17 who smoked were 3 times more likely to binge drink, 7 times more likely to have used drugs like heroin or cocaine, and were also 7 times more likely to resort to marijuana. But if that's the case, how could making more drugs legal stop the use of hard drugs? At first, it's important to acknowledge that people don't use drugs because they're legal or not. If you want to buy any drug, you'll always find someone happy to sell. The real question is, why do people develop an unhealthy relationship with drugs at all? Studies show that certain conditions make people especially vulnerable to drugs and addiction. A difficult childhood, early trauma, low social status, depression, even genetic factors. Which drug they get addicted to is more often than not a matter of chance. Addicts take drugs to escape their problems, but drugs don't solve any of those problems and instead become a new problem. But punishing people for their unhealthy coping mechanisms doesn't change anything about the underlying causes either. So some argue we need to take a completely different route. In 2001, Portugal had one of the worst drug problems in Europe, so it was desperate enough to try something radical. Possession and use of all illegal drugs was decriminalized. You would no longer be arrested. Instead, authorities launched a major health campaign. People who were found with a small amount were referred to support services and got help with treatment and harm reduction. Drug use was seen as a chronic disease, not a crime. The results were stunning. The number of people who tried drugs and kept using them fell from 44% to 28% by 2012. The use of hard drugs decreased, as well as HIV and hepatitis infections and overdoses. Making drugs legal might overall help society much more than it harms it. Argument number 3. Marijuana is addictive and unhealthy. It needs to remain illegal to keep harm at a minimum. While marijuana addiction is more psychological than physical, it is still a real problem. The demand for treatment for marijuana addiction has more than doubled in the past decade alone. In total, about 10% of people who try marijuana will become addicted. This is also related to higher THC levels. A study released in 2017 tracked the potency of marijuana in Dutch coffee shops over a period of 16 years. For every 1% increase in THC, 60 more people entered treatment nationwide. In terms of negative health effects, some studies linked marijuana use to increased blood pressure and lung problems, while a 2016 study found that marijuana use was unrelated to physical health problems except for a higher risk of gum disease. Some studies showed that marijuana use alters teenagers' brains and decreases their intelligence, but when more recent studies took drinking and smoking into account, the results were inconclusive. Overall, research shows that taking any drugs while the brain is still in development is bad for you. But the truth is, we don't know yet how unhealthy marijuana is. We need more funding for research, which is hard to get while marijuana remains illegal. We can put what we know into perspective, though. 16% of people who consume alcohol become alcoholics, and 32% of people who try cigarettes become smokers. We know for sure alcohol affects your brain, destroys your liver and causes cancer, while tobacco clogs your arteries, destroys your lungs and also causes cancer. 3.3 million people die from alcohol abuse each year, while smoking kills more than 6 million people. Nobody is suggesting tobacco and alcohol are harmless just because they're legal. Also, nobody is seriously proposing to prohibit them, even though they are extremely dangerous. Legality is a way to exercise some control over them, especially when it comes to protecting young people. It's often much harder to buy legal drugs for teenagers than to buy illegal ones. Official sellers can get hefty fines and lose their license if they sell to underage kids. Legality creates incentives here that drug dealers can't exploit. So making marijuana legal doesn't mean endorsing it. It means taking responsibility for the risks it poses. It could also open the floodgates to tons of new research that shows us how harmful it really is and to whom. Conclusion. Marijuana is a drug, and just like any other drug, it has negative consequences for a sizable portion of the people who use it. It is not harmless. The best way to protect society from its negative consequences seems to be legalization and regulation. Thanks to our partnership with Funk, this video has already been available on our German channel for 2 weeks. Check it out and subscribe to
So think about all that. I ain't gonna lie, I got problems. I would say that tobacco and alcohol are gateway drugs, and they're legal. And those are the ones that lead you into other stuff. And it's very, very sad. And I think it has a lot to do with the emotional mind state of the community. You know, mental health of the community. And if we did treat it like it was a health issue rather than criminal, I think that would have a real great impact on people and make things a lot better. This video is long and I'm tired. I got the Tim Black video, but I ain't gonna play that, I don't think. So I cleared my queue, y'all. Let me make sure. Yeah, I cleared my queue, y'all. That's cool, man. That's cool. Like I say, I'm getting better and better at this. I hope y'all learned something. I really do. I hope y'all learned something. I hope it's worth it, you know. Either way, I'm going to keep making these, and I'm going to keep getting better. You know, my subscriber count has gone up. I've gained 30 subscribers over a short amount of time. So it's some people out there that like this shit. So share it with your friends. Tell them about it. I really want you guys to call in and give me your commentary on whatever the hell we're talking about, because I think people learn from regular ass conversations. And you guys out there think that people don't want to hear what you have to say, but they do. Somebody out there is going to agree with you. Somebody's going to learn from what you have to say. Somebody's going to just enjoy your conversation. So just come on, you guys. I mean, don't be afraid. That's the thing. I know it's a lot of y'all scared or whatever, but I mean, I don't care. If you want to wear a mask or hat, something to distort your identity, go ahead. I just want your voice anyways, because this is podcast style anyway. So you guys you could black out the screen and you can still give your commentary, bruh or sis, all of y'all, everyone. I'm sure it'll happen eventually. I'm gonna just keep on asking y'all to join. I be getting people. I get people already, but I want more, you know, because we want to keep on creating content. We're going to keep on teaching people, and we're going to keep on trying to create community activists and educators and leaders and creators. That's the reason why these videos be dry and hard to watch, because the leaders, you guys are leaders. Especially if you made it this far in the video, you're a gangster, and I love you, because that's what it is. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. It's going to be painful, but that's what we got to do to get where we need to go. And I'm telling y'all just stuck in y'all loops, and that's what they want y'all on, the hamster wheel. So this is something different. Just let it play in the background, and I promise you'll learn. I mean, some of it's going to be boring and dry or whatever. That's why I say don't pay complete attention to it. Just do something else while it's playing in the background. Sleep with it on or whatever. The videos are really long. You're going to learn stuff. Trust me on that. And it's going to help you in the community. And this is going to help you be able to build and maintain your structures, because we're going to be hard. We got a hard job ahead of us, but we can do it. We have a lot of power. The grassroots have a lot of power. No matter what community you are anywhere in the world, there's something out there that you can fix. You can do it. You, the one that's watching this video, you are the activist. And when you learn all this stuff, it's going to help you, arm you, and give you the ability to do the things that you want to do, you know, and ignite you, you know. It is what it is, man. We're going to keep on doing this. I hope y'all love it, man. Give me y'all feedback in the comments on how we can make the show better. I guess that's a wrap, y'all. Thank y'all for joining. I love y'all. Peace and love.